All right, let's dive in. So first up on the list is Dzani. Are you on the call? Nope, no Dzani. All right. Sweet. That's totally fine. We're gonna go through his copy real quick, and then we'll go through everybody else. It's fine. It's a weird time for some people, so he'll be able to catch us on the reviews. So he wrote a DIC email. I believe he's pretty new to like the copywriting campus. I think this is one of his first DIC emails, which is fine. So we're gonna go over some of his things. So his avatar is Bob. Bob's in his early 30s. He's not married. He's very inexperienced in dating because he's focused on his career. He has tried dating recently, but it went horribly, and as a result, is lost and insecure. He wants to learn how to crush any date. Now, so when we're talking about the dream situation, it's not enough to just like state the result they want. We need to understand how they're going to feel about that result. I mean, so much of copy and so much of salesmanship is, so much of it is communicating emotion. It's not so much about communicating events, it's about communicating emotions. You're going to give them an outcome, but the outcome really is the emotion attached to the outcome. That's really what you're going to be giving them. So it's one thing to say he can crush any date, but you really want to talk about how he's going to feel about himself, about the experience, about his life, how far up Maslow's hierarchy of needs can you take that result, right? So then the question, what problems are stopping him from getting his dream situation, is he is inexperienced and scared. So that's a fairly vague description of his problem. And then the product, Dzani has listed as the product is for people like Bob because he can learn how to date. So this is a super superficial understanding of the actual solution to his problem and the problem at hand, right? And that's going to cause some serious problems. And it's interesting the way that he stated this. He says like the product is for people like Bob because he can learn how to date. Like he's saying like, oh, it's just like people that don't know how to date need this product because it's for them, right? That's a very that's a weak understanding and a weak persuasion tactic, right? Like if you just showed up to somebody and you're like, well, you don't know how to date, so you need to buy my product. Like that's not a very strong sales or persuasion argument, right? Like there's no real reason why that product is best, why I really need to buy it. If it's just for people who need this thing, then that's not good enough reason for me to actually decide to purchase this product. So someone asked, what is the Indian story? Okay, because I have that listed over here. Remind me to tell the Indian story. So I heard this story a long time ago when I was first starting my sales career as a young man. And it goes something like this, and it illustrates this principle. So a long time ago in like the 1890s, early 1900s in the Western United States, there was a traveling salesman, right? So he would go door to door, he'd knock, and he'd go in and sell these goods. Well, there was this Indian that sat in this town once, and he saw this traveling salesman come up, and he saw him knock on a door. This lady came to the door and the two talked for a little bit. And then the traveling salesman like opened up his suitcase, gave her some, I don't know, bars of soap or whatever. And she gave him money. And the Indian thought, oh, this is cool, right? This is how you get this money stuff that everyone's talking about. So the next day he walked up to this same house, carrying a whole bunch of like woven baskets, right? And he knocked on the door, knock. And the lady came to the door. Oh, hello. And, she asked him like what he wanted. He's like, oh, well, I have baskets. You have money. Like, give me your money. And she says, well, I don't need your baskets. And the Indian's like, well, I'm confused. That's not how this, well, I have the baskets. You have to give me the money. That's how this works. And then she kind of just laughed and shut the door in his face. And then he walked away bewildered, right? There's a very simplistic view of business and marketing that is, I have these things, people should just buy them because it's for people. That's not enough of a reason for purchasing stuff. So we're going to see in this guy's email that he runs into some issues because he hasn't defined that. But when you guys are sitting down to understand your products and your services, you have to understand the real nature of their problem and how the product addresses that problem in a way that's compelling so they'll actually want to buy. You can't just say this is a product for people. You have to have like a real good reason. I mean, that's a very simple idea, but it's obvious. I mean, it's something that a lot of people have to overcome and have to learn how to do when they first start. Do you guys have questions about that general overarching principle before we carry on to the actual copy review. Awesome. It's pretty simple. Ryan, you got your hand up. George, you got your hand up. Do you have something to ask about that principle, or at least understanding that part of the avatar and product and solution? No? Nobody?
Sorry, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, Ryan. Yeah, what do you got?
So it was going to be questions for the Q&A at the end. That was all. It wasn't for right now. I will. Is it okay if I keep that up until the end of the? Is that all right?
No, we'll lower your hand. You can answer. We're gonna do a lot of little mini questions along the way, so we'll get back to you. George, what do you got? Do you have a question about this principle?
Yeah, about the avatar. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. What's your question?
So basically, the more specific the avatar is, obviously, the easier it is for you to write, because you have like your specific problem you're solving, the specific benefits that you have. Because I had it recently, a case with a prospect where he had like a very general offer. Let's say he did coaching for productivity, but he didn't say, well, I'm doing productivity coaching for professionals, for entrepreneurs, for students, whatever. What do I do in that case?
In that case, it's your responsibility to sit down with the client and help him identify who his ideal customer is in the first place. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to create an avatar based off of that ideal customer, right? So if someone just walks in the world with a very general offering, their marketing is going to be very general. They're going to not function as well, right? That doesn't mean they can't serve a wide variety of clients, but it's usually better if they can pick one category that they can focus on, that all their best clients are, their most profitable clients, all their customers are. And then you create an avatar that's sort of like one instance of that, like one example. Like, for example, one of their best customers, you can just make him the avatar immediately, and in your mind, pretend you're writing to him from before, right? It's generally I recommend you do that, but that's one of the benefits you can bring as a strategic copywriter when you're sitting down during the sales process, is to help them define who their ideal customers are and come up with a better avatar. Like most of these guys that have just been doing it by themselves, they're just winging it. The guy knows about productivity. He talks about productivity, and people show up and pay him money, right? That's all he really thinks about. But you can show up as a strategic marketer and help him clone his best customers. So it's up to you to take the responsibility to do that for yourself or with him, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, good question. Dax, what do you got?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What you got?
All right. So we talk about going into depth with our avatar. How do you know when it's too much in depth?
As far as understanding, like defining their characteristics and stuff?
Just in general, like going into their problems, like their daily life and everything. How do you know when it's too much and it's not just enough?
So usually when you're doing a full-on sales page or a full-on funnel, you have to go pretty deep, right? You're going to understand their problems, their daily life. You're going to want to have a pretty good understanding of that if you want to write and persuade at a high level, right? If you're doing short form, if you're doing your discovery project, if you're doing free value, especially, you can get away with a lot less research, right? You really are just trying to trigger some curiosity and some desire. But once you sit down and you take a long-term client, it's beneficial for you to get almost as detailed as possible. Now, you don't have to imagine, like, you don't have to sit down and actually create the last 10 years of their journal. You don't have to like actually write that out in your mind. Like you don't have to get that detailed, obviously. But you want a real instance of them in your mind. You'll know when you're just chasing your mind, like you're just chasing around and creating useless details. You'll be able to feel that pretty easily, right? But generally speaking, understanding their dreams, their desires, and their problems, you almost can't go too deep on that. You really can't. You really, like, it's not something you can really do.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. All right. Edward, Pat, and Justin. We're going to do your questions, then we'll move on and actually go through this guy's copy. So Edward, what do you got?
Hi, Andrew. Okay, so I wanted to ask you if I cannot find a very specific avatar in my research, like it's not very detailed, is it, and I want to provide some free value to my prospect in my outreach. Is it all right if it's a little bit vague and after I get in the sales call with him and I find out more from the prospect, I then get this with this better?
Yeah, you'll get more detailed as you as you actually have sales, like your actual sales conversation with your client, of course. You're going to be making a hypothesis, a guess, your best guess of what the best avatar is, right? Still, you still need to create a specific version of that person in your brain so you can write specifically to them. But you are going to make your best guess about who their target market is, what their life is like, and all that stuff, for sure.
I understand. Thank you.
Good question. Pat, what do you got?
Hey guys, so quick question. I have a lot of clients like in the fitness space, or for me, I teach people business. What do you recommend if like a sales page, you're speaking to say 100 people, 5 of them, like say it's fitness, 10 might be trying to lose weight, 10 might be trying to build muscle, 10 might be trying to do this. Do you recommend breaking up sales pages or trying to create one master sales page that speaks to like a bigger majority of avatars?
Yeah, so you're going to probably have different products for those different things, won't you?
Yeah, it's all kind of the same product, but once, like for me, once they're inside the membership site, based on tags and data, they get, you know, put into a very specific experience. But to sell them,
Yeah,
to join,
if I were you, I would probably do separate sales pages. Right, I have separate sales pages for each of the big problems that you're helping with inside of this membership, and then guide the customer to the appropriate one based on segmenting practices to make sure that's tailored, right? Because yeah, if you try and write a general one that covers all those problems, it's not going to be as effective as if you can really focus on one. Probably there's one that makes the majority of your high profitable customers. I would start there and build that one first, and just run with that one as your only sales page for a while, and then build out the additional ones as needed. That's what I would probably do based on what you're telling me.
cool, perfect. Yeah, that was the game plan. So thanks for confirming.
Yeah, good stuff. All right. Our other guy dropped his hand. So let's go back into this. Let's go through this guy's copy. Those are good questions about the avatar and kind of how to focus on them. Those are fundamental, right? There's a reason I start with that in the sprints. It's extremely important. So let's go through this guy's actual copy. And guys, I really like the length of this. This is about as long as I like to do for emails most of the time. We're going to talk about it. So his subject line is call for a meeting and start dating. Now, I think this is probably an English thing. I don't know what he means by call for a meeting. I'm assuming it's something that got lost in translation. But this subject line needs to be more disruptive, right? Even if it is like call her up and set a date or something like that, like it's not as disruptive as it needs to be. Like this is a DIC email where he's teasing tactics. He's teasing how to improve the dating experience. And I would try it and either just go with a bold promise in the subject line or call up one of his big insecurities with a little bit of hope for him to know that, hey, he can find the answer to solve it here. It's kind of a weak subject line. His first line is, are you ready to learn how to crush any date? Now that's not a bad first line for a subject line for an email body. And again, remember that first line, it's a disrupt. Again, you're trying to grab their attention. Again, they've opened the email. You now need to, again, re-earn their attention, re-grab their attention so that you can then take them through the rest of the email. I'm a really good fan of that direct question. That's almost always a really good way to start an email. The human brain can't really ignore a direct question. And if it's a question that's relevant and either talks about something that they're worried about or something they desire, it will get them to continue reading and go along. Now, I'm going to fix the spacing issue here because it's all smushed together. I really don't recommend you do that. It's better to separate out your paragraphs, at least with one line in between. So I'm going to go ahead and space this out so I can just read this easier to you guys, but that's a problem. You want to make sure that you make it easy on the eyes for the person to read it. You want to add any additional friction by making them have to like squint to really pay attention between the different lines. So, okay. So are you ready to learn how to crush any date, make her want a second one while the first didn't even finish? Again, I think there's some English translation. That's not a bad line, right? Like, do you want to make her, yearn for that next date even before the first one finished? Like if you just restructure this in better English, it's a good line. All you have to do is ask the right questions, excite her, and make her tell you her secrets. It's pretty easy if you know what you're doing. In this course, you'll learn 8 crucial things you will ever need to make her go crazy about you. If you join my course in the next 24 hours, you will get 5 tips you should avoid doing on the first date. Join today, www.designagud.com. So let's go through this. So this part where he says, all you have to do is ask the right questions, excite her, and make her tell you her secrets. He's kind of he's trying to drop some value, he's trying to educate them. But then this next line is, it's pretty easy if you know what you're doing. The it's pretty easy is, I do not recommend you use the word it with, if at all possible. It is a pointer word, and we're not sure exactly what we're talking about. Asking the right questions, excite her, make her tell you her secrets. It's pretty easy. We don't really know exactly what he's talking about. Even if we could sit here and figure it out, it weakens the power of the statement by making an it statement. It's better to be more specific and say, I would probably pick one of these actually. So like he's saying, it's, you have to ask right questions, excite her, make her tell you her secrets. I would probably pick one of these and say it all starts with making her tell you her secrets or something. That's probably what I pick because it has the most intrigue. And then I would just focus on that. If you got all of these things in here, then it becomes, the mind gets a little diluted. You have too many angles to try and work. I'd probably pick one. And then he goes straight into selling. He says, in this course, you'll learn 8 crucial things. We don't know about the course. We don't know anything about the course, but now we know he's trying to sell us a course. You really want to focus on, and most of the time on the emails, it's about creating desire, about creating intrigue around getting some outcome. And then you let the sales page do the actual persuasion, right? That's where you're going to do the major, communication of desire, building out, the discovery story, all that stuff is going to happen on the sales page, right? So I'm not a fan of going straight on and saying like, hey, in this course, just because at that point, sales guard comes up and it gets a little difficult. This next part right here, where it says you will learn 8 crucial things that you will ever need to make her go crazy about you. Even if the English stuff was taken out, it needs to be a little more specific. 8 crucial things you will need to make her go crazy about you. Crucial things is so vague, right? You can make this more specific. I'm not sure exactly. I don't think this is a real product. I don't think this is this is a real course. I think he just kind of made stuff up. But you want to go beyond just saying 8 things and start putting it in like 8 master dating lessons or whatever. Like you can say, you just need to get more specific and more curious it needs to be more specific. It needs a little bit more marketing magic to make it actually crank. But if this line had something like that, if it was 8 master dating secrets or something like that, or master dating lessons, in this course, you will learn 8 master dating lessons. You will learn the 8 crucial master dating lessons, you put those in quotes, you need to make her go crazy about you. Like that right there is a significantly more powerful line, just because you've increased the specificity around that crucial things by making it more specific and making it, you've added just a little more marketing magic. It's absolutely crucial there. Like if you're trying to build like curiosity, which this is supposed to be a DIC email, that line needs some rework. It needs to be kind of supercharged. Next line, if you join my course in the next 24 hours, you'll get 5 tips you should avoid doing on the first date. So this is, I think he's trying to add a bonus as an urgency thing. I would do that in a DIC email. That fits better in a PAS email. This is throwing up sales guard big time. But there's a lot of question in my mind as I'm reading this. I'm really confused. I'm like, wait, am I going to get an 8? Is this link going to take me to 8 crucial things, or is it going to give me 5 tips? What is on the other side? I'm now really, really confused, not curious, but confused, right? It seems like he's talking about 2 different things in the same email. If he said you will get a bonus 5 tips you should avoid doing, of things you should avoid doing on the first date, it makes more sense in my brain, even though like that line does not belong here in the DIC email. This and the CTA joined today, that doesn't belong in a DIC email. The CTA in a DIC email should be like, discover the 8 master secret lessons and crush your next date with the girl of your dreams, or whatever, right? Like it needs to be a re-summary of all 3 elements of DIC, pointing to like a discovery, not a conversion event, not saying, hey, go buy this, go opt in today. It's just click here to learn something cool, right? So that's the quick and dirty overview of this really short email. I like DIC emails this short. You can write really good DIC emails at this length and you get really, really high click-through rates. But there's a few things we need to dial in here. So let's go through here and let's take a look at the questions. So what questions do you guys have about this copy, the principles we talked about here? Nar, what do you got for me, my friend?
All right, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to ask, you keep saying DIC email. I would like to ask, what does that mean exactly?
It's one of the formats for short form copy that I teach in beginner sprints. So I'm assuming you're pretty new. There's a video that talks about it, but it's emails that are broken up into 3 steps: disrupt, intrigue, click. Disrupt is where you catch their attention. Intrigue is where you build curiosity, and click is where you direct them to go to a sales page or a video or some resource to get their questions answered. So you'll learn more about it in beginner sprints.
All right, thank you.
Cool. Ryan, what's your question?
It was a question about the email thing. So see how I was watching your intermediate sprints last night. I'm still making progress to that, and I'm at the point where you're talking about cold emails, and
Yep.
you were talking about the templates, and you were showing the templates in your video, and you said that the free gift thing, like the free gift in sets of 3 messages. And I'm not. You said that was probably one of the better solutions to begin with, and that's the more easier route to take when you're first beginning. And I was just wondering if what do you mean by free gift? Like, what is it we're offering them? Is it we're offering them like an email list to send out, or?
Okay, that sounds like a very general question. That doesn't sound like a question about this right here. I'm cool to answer it, but let's wait till the very end when we do the general Q&A.
All right.
Jay, what do you got for me? What's your question?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, so for the line where it says like all you have to do is ask the right question inside her, and that isn't that like the solution to this like sale? Because like if you want to create curiosity, right, you should like ask more questions and like, you know, shouldn't give like the solution, right? So isn't that what like this line is kind of like, you know, going against?
So you can answer part of their questions. Like it's not like there's nothing wrong with delivering some value and actually teaching them things here. You can tell them the what they need to do, but then tease the how they do it, right? So if you say all you have to do, and again, I'd probably pick one. I'd probably say all you have to do is, or the key to making her crave that next date is to get her to tell you her secrets. And then so that's the what. Now they don't know how to do that, right? Now, if you immediately start stacking curiosity about how to do that, right? If you start talking about the 8 master dating secrets in order to get her, or master dating lessons to get her to tell you her secrets every time and then make her addicted to seeing you, then you can still build curiosity around the how, even though you've revealed the what. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you can reveal things and teach things, and like you're gonna open loops. You're gonna tease something, and then you're gonna give them the answer, but then you're gonna immediately build curiosity about the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. So there's nothing wrong with the revealing part of it. In fact, you should every so often reveal the answers to the things you've been teasing before. If you always just tease and never give them anything, they'll just leave, right? If you tease and then reveal and then tease and then reveal and tease and then reveal at successive levels, they make it where they learn slowly more and more and more, like peeling away layers of an onion. Then they'll be addicted to reading your copy because they'll be teased and then they'll be rewarded. They'll be teased, they'll read, and they'll be rewarded, and it'll build that sort of habit loop for them moving forward. So good question. Brandon, what's your question?
Is it best to go ahead and like show them, you'll teach them like what to do to get girls on this, and also the bad things, like what not to do? Or is it good just to focus on just the good and then not really focus on the bad?
You can definitely add the bad as kind of a secondary thing here. I would probably do that as a PS, right? So I'd tease, hey, here's the 8 whatever you need to do to get girls, blah blah blah. PS, I've added a special additional whatever. Or PS, you can also like, there's also 5 major mistakes that you should avoid, and it's included on the next page or whatever. Like you can still tease it as a secondary thing, and just kind of stack on top of it, but you need to pick one thing as your main focus.
All right.
All right. Now I'm going to butcher this one, like Grzegorz.
Grzegorz, but you can call me Greg.
All right, Greg, that works for me. What's your name? Or so yeah, what's your question?
So can you say join today or sign up today in a PRS email, since they already know the product and the solution?
It works a lot better that way. You can get away with that type of CTA in the PAS. Again, it doesn't work very well in DIC. You're trying to build curiosity, not really drive a purchase event.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Tamela, what's your question? Mr. Tamela, what do you got? All right. Oh, let's move on. Lewis, what do you got? What's your question? I'm going to do Lewis, John, and then Kine, and then we're going to move on to the next piece.
How you doing? So when it says it's pretty easy if you know what you're doing, which I assume if you're doing the course, you don't know what you're doing, is it bad to say if you start the course, you're going to find it difficult?
No, I don't understand your question.
So when it says it's pretty easy and it says brackets if you know what you're doing, like for the dating.
Yeah.
So to say you know, it's basically saying that you're not going to find it easy if you don't know what you're doing. So would that be a bad thing to mention?
Well, you've kind of already made that statement here. You don't need to go off and say that again.
No, but I'm saying that is it bad to say that the course like getting girls is easy if you know what you're doing?
I'm not sure what are you asking? Is it good to then go on and additionally say the course makes it easy, or are you asking if you should say if you don't do the course, it's going to be really, really hard?
Yeah, no, so I'm basically saying that adding the courses, you know, what following the steps are easy if you know what you're doing. So I'm saying, is it bad to say that you're going to find the course difficult?
The course won't be difficult. The course shouldn't be difficult. It should never be framed as difficult. The course should be framed as easy, right?
Cool.
Not doing the course, that can be framed as difficult. So that's something that you're going to cover more detail on your sales page at the end during the close. Now, I probably wouldn't, if you're already saying, if you know what you're doing, it's going to be easy. I wouldn't go out of my way to then say, if you don't know what you're doing, it's going to be hard, because it's already implied here. Any extra time you spend stacking on a known boring concept that you already explained once, if you try and explain it again, the reader's not going to like that. They're going to bounce. It's better just to state it once and then move on at this stage, this type of email. So is that good? Did I answer your question?
Yeah, no, I did. My bad if I confused you. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, no, the course should never be framed. The course should be the easy path, right? And this goes for all persuasion, right? When you're presenting someone with options at the end of everything, right? You're going to teach them everything. You're going to present the course. You're going to give them the discovery story. They're going to understand the world in a new light. They're going to understand what they need to do to get what they want, and they're going to understand that the course is the best way to do it. At the very end, typically, you're going to do something that's called a three-way close, right? And this doesn't happen in emails so often. This mostly happens in sales pages, right? But you're basically going to say, look, you basically have three options now. You can either keep going as you were and just stay where you are forever, which already sucks, and you don't want to do that. Or you can go and try and figure this out by yourself, which is going to be really, really difficult. Might take you 10, 20 years, and you're going to make a lot of mistakes along the way, right? Bad idea. Or you can just buy this course, get the solution today, save decades of time, and get what you want as quickly and easily as possible, right? You always want to frame the path of doing the course as the easiest option. Even if it's difficult, even if it's going to take a lot of time, you can still say that, but you need to compare it to the other worse options, which is just figuring it out by themselves or never solving it, right? You always need to frame it or change the perceptions to where that it seems the easiest of all, right?
Yeah. All right, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, it works. It's an important version of persuasion, and it's how you help people make good decisions. You clearly present their options in a way where they can see exactly the costs for their different courses of action, right? That's something that Alex Hormozy talked about in one of his videos I watched a couple of months ago, and I really liked it, right? He said that sales is basically just helping people make decisions, right? You're helping them through the decision-making process. And that's something, I mean, I've always done instinctively, but it was cool to really just hear him say it out loud like that and use that. We're just helping people make better decisions, right? We're not forcing them to do something that's not going to be good for them. We're presenting them options and helping them understand their options in a way where they make the best decision possible for their life, right? All right, let's do John and then Kine, and then we're going to move on. John, what's your question? Mr. John Doe. All right, John, I can't hear you, so you got like 5 seconds, get your audio figured out and ask me your question. We're going to move on. Yeah, John, I can't hear you. We're gonna move on. All right, Kyle, what do you got? What's your question?
Hello.
I can hear you.
All right, Chad. I just wanted to ask, when you said about the DIC email shouldn't necessarily be for selling. So the bottom line there where it says join today at that website, what would you say would be a better alternative?
So I stated it an option when I made that point, and you could probably say like discover the 8 crucial steps you need to crush your next date with the girl of your dreams or whatever, right?
Right.
Something along those lines would be better for a DIC email.
Okay, Sean, thanks, mate.
All right, no worries. John, did you get your audio figured out? Well, I'll let you ask your question. If not, we're moving on. Nope. All right, we'll save it for the next one. Let's move on to the next copy, which is from Alfie. Mr. Alfie, are you on the call today?
Hi, Andrew.
Alfie, that's your name, Alfie?
Yes, correct.
All right, perfect. Well, let's go through this. So since you're here, how about you break down the avatar for us? So let us know who the avatar is, and then tell us about their dream state, their current state, their problem and solution, all that stuff.
Okay, so basically, I based the avatar off myself because I literally am the avatar, and I specifically bought the products from this potential client or prospect, shall I say. So it's anywhere aged between 16 and 25, we can see. Financially, they're not really focused about that because all they want to do at the moment is focus on their football, like get better and stuff. So their current situation is they're either in academy football or they are out of football, lower league football, and they're trying to make it up the ranks into professional. Their situation is obviously bad because they're not in that professional setting. And it is bad because this is their dream, but only like less than 1% actually make it. And then just talking about why is this so desirable? Obviously, millions, billions people watch it. Like World Cup, for example, if you can play in the final, thousands of people watching you, millions watching on TV, and you can just get that respect from people thinking that you're good.
Glory. Yeah.
And then also fear as well, because you're that good, essentially.
Got it. Okay. And so let's talk about real quick. So why don't they get their dream state, and how does the product help them do that?
Sorry, say that again.
So why can't they just step into their dream state today, and how does your product help carry them there?
So they don't actually, so some of them, or the majority of people for this avatar, they're not in the academy setting, so they don't have that professional environment around them. So it'd be like,
but they want to become pro, right? Like they want to become pro.
Yeah.
And they can, what does it take to become pro from an academy? So like, let's say their academy, what do they have to do to become pro?
Technically good. Their mindset needs to be good, so they can take criticism. They can handle things that aren't going their way, which is specifically ties to this product. There's lots of things specifically.
They get scouted. Like how do they become a professional soccer player?
Yeah, so
like, I get what they need. They need to have like the right stuff, but like, how does the process work? I'm not.
They would get.
I'm
scouted.
an American. I don't know very much about soccer, so yeah. They have to get scouted.
Yes, okay. Correct.
Okay, and the scouts notice when they do X, Y, Z. What do the scouts look for?
Yeah. So I believe specifically for this, it's not a product as such, but it is to a blog, and then the products elsewhere within the website. But it specifically links to psychological tricks for what you can do if you're not actually on the ball and scouts are watching. So if a scout comes to watch your football game and you're not actually on the ball, what can you do to get their attention? So that's kind of the story behind that.
Interesting. Okay, cool. All right, that gives me a little more context than this. So this is cool. Let's go through your actual copy. So you took one of their pieces of copy and then you improved it, right? That's what you submitted. I like that. So I included both because I wanted everyone to see what they wrote, and then we can go through what you wrote. So their subject line was, do these 7 things to feel more confident on the pitch. Is that like fancy word for like soccer field?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I inferred that. Again, I don't know. I the only soccer I've done has been in Spanish, so I don't know much about it. So, hey, so and so, did you know that there are things you can do to control your confidence on the pitch? If you miss a sitter, it doesn't have to bother you for the rest of the match. You don't have to worry about what your teammates and coaches are saying about you after you make a mistake. There are ways to process your thoughts and emotions when you're driving to a trial day so that your mind doesn't work against you. Use these 7 techniques to have consistent confidence levels and bounce back stronger after a mistake. Check it out. Check out the video now. This isn't not like that bad of an email, honestly. Like it's pretty solid. Get a good question. Talk about like their feelings about how it bothers them the rest of the match. Criticism from teammates and coach, like he's hitting the status angle. Teasing some ways to process thoughts and emotions. And then he's doing a specific thing, 7 techniques to have consistent confidence levels, bounce back stronger after a mistake. This is a solid email. It's not bad. I mean, are there things to improve? Are there things you should do to improve it? Of course. Let's keep going. So your subject line is have the confidence of Ronaldo when using these 7 hacks. So automatically by adding Ronaldo, that adds a significant level of mystery and credibility to what you're saying, right? Like, oh, Ronaldo, like I know enough about, I don't know anything about soccer, but I know enough to know that like that name means something in the soccer world, right? So that's a good angle. 7 hacks. I tend to avoid using the word hacks personally, but you can probably use it and get away with it. Sometimes it can have a negative connotation in a world where people are adverse to silver bullets. They still want to be sold a silver bullet, but if you tell them that, hey, this is a hack or silver bullet or a trick, they're like, no, I want to earn it the hard way. Like I want to be the soccer player. I don't want to be a faker, right? Yeah. Like so it's something to consider, a nuance to consider, but overall, this is a good subject line. So, hi, whatchamacallit. Do you want to play football as if you're relaxed and playing with your friends, even in highly competitive matches? So this question here, I see some problems with this. One, it's a significantly long first line. You want the first line, and it's kind of a complicated idea. You have to pause and really understand it, right? Yep. With that first line, your goal is to grab their attention, and it's easier to do that when you have a short, easy to understand sentence, right? Because they're making a trade, right? They're trading the time and energy it takes to read, understand that first line, and they want to get back some shock and awe, some interest, and some desire, right? If it's a long and complicated sentence that they have to invest a lot more before they get something out of it, they're a lot less likely to make that trade, right? Whereas if it's a nice short first sentence, it tends to work a little bit better, right?
Cool, that makes sense.
So I would simplify this, make it a little bit easier to read. You want the cost to be almost 0 for them to read that, and the result and like the thing that they get back to be like 10 times whatever they put in reading it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
all good.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, so the next line is the confidence to try a new skill, the cheekiness to nutmeg someone, or the audacity to connect with a 30-yard volley. Like this is good image, like this is good description, cheekiness, audacity, confidence. Like this is good stuff. Like there's a little bit of stuff you can change with their sentence structure here, but it's fine. This is all possible without dropping to a lower level where the competition is less. Is this going to be their first thought? Like, are they going to be thinking, I want to do that, but I should just drop down? Or are they thinking, I want to do that as I move forward? Like I imagine their first thought isn't about dropping down. It's about how to move forward. And I think this is taking them down an alley in their mind that they probably wouldn't want to go anyways, naturally. Or do you think this is like the first thing? I don't understand soccer super well, but is this something that like your avatar would think like, oh, I should just drop down so I can do these cool things?
I would say it might not be a priority, but it would definitely play into their minds. So for example, in England, we have something called a Sunday League, and that's basically where fat blokes and like 40-year-old people, they just go to play football. So the competition is, you can literally just rock up and do whatever you want. So that's the kind of context behind that. So if you drop to a low level, you'd get more touches on the ball, you'd have more eyes on you. But I guess it probably could be a different priority, but I don't think it would be wrong to include it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would recommend if these guys are focused on trying to become professional, they're trying to become pro. I would probably not even introduce to playing in those other games. I would probably just talk about how great they can do in the big games where the scouts are there, right? Yeah. I'd probably say the kind of confidence you want when the scout finally shows up to review your game, right? Like I would try and connect it directly to their dream state instead of talking about this secondary idea. Personally, that's what I would recommend here.
Cool.
Your next line is, it can all be done by using these 7 hacks. So again, you use the word it. It is usually it and this are usually like bad words in copywriting. I go back through my stuff and I double, triple check. I don't use them, or if I do use them, it's extremely clear and that it works. This one, I don't know exactly what it is. I have to go back in my brain. I have to fire up extra brain calories, like dump extra brain coal into the furnace to like try and like figure out what this is, right? And if I probably won't do that entirely, and so the statement becomes weak, right? Because it doesn't have any force. Like it doesn't mean anything to me, right?
What could you do? Sorry to interrupt. What could you do instead of that? Would I have to reword the whole sentence?
Yeah, I probably would. This is supposed to be a fascination bullet. This sentence is a fascination bullet, or should be, right? It can all be done by using these 3-7 hacks. I could say you can play with the confidence of a true professional if you use these 7 mindset hacks, right? So it's a little bit longer. You're putting 4 or 5 extra words in there, but it's actually a standalone, powerful fascination bullet.
Yep.
That's what I'd recommend you do with this line personally. You see the difference?
Yeah.
Plus you use them right now. I'd probably say you can use them at your next game, or you can use them starting right now. When you say you use them right now, it could have the unintended effect of them saying, oh, I already use these tactics, I'm out. You know what I'm saying?
I was actually meant to say you can use them right now. I didn't actually see that. Read it through multiple times.
I imagine that's it. Again, this is one of those things you'll catch if you sit down and read your copy out loud after you write it. That's an extremely powerful tactic. And I talk about that in the end of the beginner sprints. I'm pretty sure that once you write your copy out, if you pause and then, don't look at it for like 20 seconds and then read it out loud. For some reason, when you read it out loud, it gives you enough detachment from the actual writing of it that you can spot errors like this. You can see things that don't flow right. You can see unintended double meanings, unintended ambiguity, and it's easy to fix stuff and fix the pattern of your speech. You probably read this first sentence out loud. Do you want to play football as if you're relaxed and playing with friends, even in highly competitive matches, and be like, yeah, I could probably chop that down a little bit, right? You can catch those things when you read it out loud. So yeah, so let's go to the next line. You will instantly feel charged and energized to go into any game with confidence to try anything. I like this type of stuff, this type of language where it's called future pacing, where you're talking about what their life is going to be like after they receive these things. I can tell you're trying to amplify some of the emotion here right before you ask for the CTA. One second. All right. Yeah. So
the question.
1 second. We gotta clear up. We got someone talking. Who's talking? You guys spotted it? It's not a good friend, Alfie.
No, it's not me.
All right, I'm gonna mute everybody. And you can unmute yourself, Alfie. All right, so let's read the next line. This is how to play great football with a smile, even in a highly competitive games. Again, you use the word this. I'd probably not use the word this. I'd say these 7 mindset hacks guarantee you play your blah, blah, blah football, blah, blah, even in highly competitive games. Now, the word great, how to play great football with a smile. I think great it's an okay word. It's not a bad word, but it's a weak word. Saying, oh, this is great. You can play great football. That doesn't mean anything, and it doesn't carry as much impact as some other words might. So let's take some time in the chat. You guys in the chat, come up with some additional words you could say here that are more vivid, more potent than just saying great. I'm surprised no one said like top G yet, but makes sense. Yeah. Boom. We've got a lot of them. Some people are saying amazing. I probably wouldn't say those, but there's some better words, right? World class is always good. I'd probably say pro level. Again, I try and connect it directly to their dream state. Personally.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Lots of fun adjectives, but that would amplify the power of the sentence, right? There's so many. And this is really one of the things that separates good copywriters from great copywriters. or good copywriters from world-class top G striker down level copywriters. And that's their ability to switch out words like great for something significantly more exciting, right? It's not, you don't even have to use crazy, you don't have to say perspicacity or compendious or anything like that. You don't have to use words that make people feel dumb, but you can use words that make people feel really good, right? Great makes people feel okay. Pro level or early Ronaldo level or whatever you say, like there's a lot of ways you can say things that make them feel amazing, and like I can dream for it and aspire for it. So overall, like you've got some good stuff here in your email. I think it could be really dialed in and make it really crank. You're going up against a pretty decent email. Like their original email isn't bad at all. There's a few things I'd change about it, but like there's a few things here. I think if you can tighten it up and really connect this to their dream state and make it just a little more vivid, then I think this email would really be amazing. So, so Alfie, what other questions do you have for me? You're at the front of the line. You could ask me as many questions as you want about your email or anything like that. So what do you got for me, my friend?
Not too sure really. I guess the first line where I asked the question, like, I know you say make it a bit shorter. The purpose of it actually being longer than it should be is I wanted to add in like the imagery, I guess. So how is that even important within like the disrupt line or intrigue, or how would I go about it?
So I'm not sure this is even the question I would ask.
What is the question?
The reason is I think you want to address their dream state a little bit better. Like that's one of the big problems I see in this email is that it's not terribly connected to the idea of them going pro or being absolutely dominant on the field. So I would probably just throw out this entire question and try again. You can still ask the same question in a way that has some imagery without it being as long or as complicated to understand. Let me pause for a second. I'll see if I can recraft the sentence instantly into something golden and amazing. We'll see. I would probably make it a lot simpler. Again, I would probably say something like, I'd probably say something, do you want to? I'd probably say something, do you want to play with the same confidence as the pros, no matter how competitive or how challenging your opposition? I probably would keep it very simple. I probably wouldn't go too much into the imagery. I might tap into the Ronaldo thing since that's what you did in your subject line. But I don't think you really need to talk about relaxed and playing with your friends. I don't think that's something that they really care about. I don't think for your avatar, they really care about that. So I would try and keep it like, I might say something like, when the game is on the line and the scouts are watching, do you want to know the secret to playing with ultimate confidence, right? Like that's a fairly simple line to digest. It might even be about the same length, but it's easier to digest and it's connected to their dream state. I think that's probably what I would go with. Cool. Instead of that angle. Personally, that's what I think I would do. And I think that would be a little bit better question.
Nice. I've just got one more question. It's not about the email as such, but it is connected. So I sent this to the actual prospect this morning, along with 2 other emails. He's actually looking for a copywriter. He replied back within 10 minutes saying my stuff's good. He was asking about my pricing things. I tried to book a call with him, but he's quite a busy person because he does one-to-one coaching on Zoom or whatever he does. Yeah. And in the reply, he mentioned that someone else is talking to him about copywriting. So I was just wondering, what can I do to get ahead of the other copywriter that I'm kind of competing against now?
Yeah, so this is where a lot of people, when they hear they're competing against somebody, they worry. I really wouldn't if I was you. I think you have the opportunity to go higher and be more strategic with him in a way that's going to help you stand out beyond what he does. So whoever this other copywriter is, hopefully he's not on this call. But if you're going to be working with this guy, I'd push for a call. But you got to ask the right questions on that call. You got to understand his avatar, his ideal customer, his current business, what his goals are, and if you can present him. I'm sorry, what was that?
I think the guy's actually in this call.
Oh, is he?
I think so.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's a question of whoever can understand the guy better and who can present the best path for him to getting what he wants. Right. Your sales call is going to be king, right? And then it's up to you to come up with a good initial discovery project. If I was you, I would be willing to. If I were you, I would probably make it performance, or at least have a performance guarantee. Like I promise X result. If I don't get it, you don't pay, or I pay you back or whatever. Those are the things you're going to want to do to be able to stand out.
When he replied to me, he basically said, "What's my price and what can I give to him?" And I basically mentioned about expanding his fan base, talking about the value ladder, things like that, talking about Instagram, email, Facebook, and he basically mentioned that he only wants email marketing, even though I know that he's got major gaps missing in his value. So he's got a subscription, like a private subscription thing, and he's got this book. He calls it the Football Bible, and there's nothing underneath it. Like the free stuff that he gives out is like this. For example, it was just a blog. Like there was no actual products. So how would I get across? Because in my head, I've got a million things that I want to suggest to him, and I think it would work really well. But in the email,
I would pause on the idea of suggesting anything to him until you've got the chance to talk with him about his avatar and how he helps them and who his ideal customer is and what his strategic goals are or what his strategic desires are for his email list. If you can come in the conversation at a higher level, you typically beat any competition.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, good questions. Or you can just challenge the other copywriter to like fisticuffs and see who wins. Do like Jake Paul style or whatever.
Yeah, I'll back myself.
Yeah, that's always an option.
Cool. Cheers. Thank you.
All right. Good stuff. Good copy. Good questions. All right. Let's move on. Wait, does anyone have any questions about Alfie stuff? Any of the concepts we're talking about here with Alfie? We got some hands up. We still got John Doe. John, did you ever figure out your audio?
Yes. Wait.
All right, Mr. John, what do you got for me? What's your question?
Oh my God. Hello. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you, John. What's your question?
Oh, okay. Is it necessary to add a story in your dick emails? Like example.
DIC emails.
Yeah, DIC emails.
Gonna remove this guy 1 second. Sorry, I'm gonna kick someone who keeps unmuting themselves. So can you said something about the DIC emails. I told you it's not a dick email, it's a DIC email. What's your real question about it? No, you're good.
Like, can I add it like right now in the story? Like example, can I use it in these type of emails?
Like examples or stories?
Yes, can I use in a story in these type of emails? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you definitely can. Yeah, stories, you can plug them in almost anywhere. Stories are powerful stuff. All right, good stuff. I'm going to answer the next couple questions, and we'll move on to Charles's email. So Tamelo, Kaylee, and then Docs. We're going to do you guys, and then we're going to move on. So Tamelo, what do you got? What's your question? Mr. Tamelo, I can't hear you if you're talking. So. Nope. All right. Callie, Alan, what do you got?
Yeah, it's Kale.
Whatever, Kaylee.
Can you?
All right.
Yeah.
Kale, what do you got? What's your question?
Right. You said about in like the first line where it says, or his like subject line where it says where it says using the hacks. What would you say instead of hacks then? Would you say like tips?
I'd say lessons or mental skills or something like that. I would try and frame it as something specific. Hacks, again, hacks imply silver bullet cheating. And that's probably not who you're going after with this particular avatar. Now, there are some avatars that are all about those hacks. And so definitely use the word hacks, but I'm imagining this avatar is the kind of person that wants to do the hard work and or climb their way up to the bottom and become the, the big Ronaldo like figure, right? So
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
lessons. These are mental. What are these, like mental techniques? Yeah, they use techniques in their email. Yeah, I would use some version of that.
Ah, nice one. Cheers, mate.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, Dax, what do you got?
All right. So right before the CTA, y'all were talking about how you would change that one sentence to something where you can use it in the next game. How do you go through, like, what's your process you go through to determine if something's already good, it doesn't really need to be changed, or like it does need to be changed, like ASAP or whatever?
So I go back and I read my copy and I ask myself, like, does this sentence have strong impact? And if it doesn't, I find a way to improve it. If it does, then I'm cool with it, right? It's just part of your self-review process. You'll read a line and you'll know that it doesn't impact or it doesn't provide significant impact, and you'll just keep going. So
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Peyton, let's do Peyton Smith, and then we'll go to the next one. Peyton, what's your question?
Awesome, thank you. So my question was, it looks like on Alfie's email between subject and the first link, it looks like he checked all of the boxes of a DIC email. So my question is that sufficient before getting to the plus, or is adding the plus does it help?
So I don't mind going, like, hitting a DIC and then doing a little amplification at the end. Like, this is a format, kind of a blend of it's a DIC and PAS kind of blended together. This isn't bad. This definitely can work. I would probably test it on the list. So some lists will respond well to this, just the short DIC email, and some will respond a little bit better if you do a little amplification on the back end. It's a matter of testing, but this is a totally valid format.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
It's always funny. So back in the day, I went to high school with a kid named Peyton Smith. It's always weird when I see someone's name on the call that's exactly the same as I had as like a friend in high school, and they don't have their face shown. I'm like, all right, here we go. It's high school reunion time. But so far they haven't made it here, so which is great. So
yeah, just these common names.
These common names. All right. Well, let's move on to the next. Speaking of common names, let's go to Charles. Mr. Liquored Up, are you on the call?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
All right, Char, I can hear you. So Tell me about your avatar. You in deep, man. You gave the whole cultural background, the shows they like, sense of humor. Tell me a little bit more about your avatar. I mean, don't tell me more about the avatar. Just give me a summary of the avatar for everybody. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, the age group falls somewhere between 18 and 25.
Okay.
These are, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people know about what happened a year ago with the stock market. This is that group that I'm targeting, with the people that invested in GameStop early, AMC. These people for sure have money. I mean, enough money to invest in the stock market. So, I mean, it's all pretty laid out there.
Real quick, tell me about their dream situation, their problems, all that stuff. Just you told me kind of who they are. Now let's talk about their situation, what they want.
All right. So the problem that they have is they don't trust anyone. I mean, I'm sure that this crowd is well educated enough to know about the recent collapse of certain crypto projects. So I'm trying to insert this company that's just starting up. I'm trying to insert some trust into the system and tell them that this is not like all the other stuff they've seen. And I'm drawing a blank here. Well, yeah.
No, it's good. So let's talk about their problems, and let's talk about their dream state. So you told me a little bit about who they are and kind of what their life is like. Let's talk about their dream state. What do they want to have? What are they moving forward towards? What's their dream
Right.
state?
So their dream state is to become financially free. So they invest in the stock market, but they believe that it's all corrupt. I mean, they don't believe in any of the certain. They don't believe in any institution besides the stock that they invested in, which is GameStop. So the dream state would be to make money through investing, but and the solution that this company offers is, or the pitch that they give is, you can earn money through kind of like a fantasy football-esque type of way, where you make bets and they pay out, and if they don't pay out, they don't lose any money. But if the bets come out to be fruitful, then they make money.
So explain to me how this works. So they make bets, and if they lose their bet, there's nothing bad happens. But if they win their bet, then they get the payout.
Yes, that's the premise of what the company is offering.
So I'm assuming the company actually makes money by taking that money and investing it in other things or staking it in other things, and they only just pay out. There's like an
the company make
giant escrow thing.
Yeah, so the company makes money off of the bets that they place, as well as through investors that they partnered up with.
Because they hold the money for a certain amount of time, right? Like you make the bet, and then it's like 6 weeks before the bet pays out. So they basically get a hold on the money.
It's very reminiscent of fantasy football. So I mean, if you lose the bet, you don't lose the money that you've staked. If you win, then you win. If the bet goes through and it's successful, then you make a return on your investment through crypto, through a crypto medium.
You put cash in and get crypto out?
Yes.
Or is it crypto in, crypto out?
It's actually, I'm not sure about that in particular.
Yeah, okay, cool. So we know kind of roughly this. I'm not sure you understand their dream state quite well enough to really write effectively for them. And I don't know if you've identified what their current problems are. I guess you say their current problem is they can't find investment vehicles they trust, right? Like that's their main problem. So if they had one they trusted that was actually designed to work for them, then they could make money and they could become wealthy apes. Okay. Let's go ahead and read your newsletter. So you wrote like a newsletter style email. This is like a welcome to the list. Let's be friends kind of thing, right? Like that's what you were going for with this.
Yeah. I was
email.
trying to build.
Is this for a client or is this free value?
This is free value for the pitch that I made to a potential client.
Okay. How did it go? Have you got a response?
I haven't sent it yet. I've been trying to get somebody to review it for the past 2 days.
All right, well, let's review it. Probably also in the future when they request free value, try and get it sent out within 24 hours, whether someone reviews it or not. It's nice if they can, but if not, it's better to have the time. I guess it's going to be better for you to make it within that same day if possible. So let's look at your subject line. How about an icebreaker for our first time? Now, I'm assuming this is supposed to be your first email once they subscribe to a newsletter, or
this will be the first newsletter they get after they subscribe to the list.
So
it's not part of the welcome sequence.
Currently, this is part of the welcome. This is like the first email of the welcome sequence.
No. I plan the welcome sequence would be something different, that if they are interested in this, I would make for them. This would be the first newsletter after they subscribe.
What incentives are they currently given to subscribe to a newsletter?
I'm sorry, what was that?
So right now, why does someone subscribe to the newsletter today? Is there like a deliverable, or is it just sign up to the project to learn more about the project, or
they would subscribe? The project hasn't launched yet, so there's a wait list.
This is the wait list email. You sign up for the wait list.
It'll be a wait list.
Okay, so these guys are already pre-sold. These guys already want to buy and be part of it.
Yeah, this would be for somebody that's already found it interesting enough to subscribe.
Okay, so we're just trying to build some trust, and at the very end, you tease invite other people to the list thing so you can cut ahead, right? Okay. Cool. All right. So how about an icebreaker for our first time? Now, if you're sending the subject line out and this is one of the first emails they get, I'd be hesitant to use this as a subject line. I would probably have something in there about the name of the project or something like that, so they have some context. Again, you've probably got a confirmation email for when they get there, and then they're going to get this next email. How about an icebreaker for our first time? I'd probably have something to do with the project name or something related to the project, because this is so non-connected to the niche that it could be perceived as a general thing that they might ignore. So I probably change your subject line. So you got this cool GIF. You got the ship going through the ice, breaking ice. Now, if you're going to be going for the educate, like the conversational, fun, whatever internet culture meme thing, I would probably do more than just a single GIF. There's several parts throughout here where you make different references to different things that you could probably put additional GIFs in. GIFs are a fun way to kind of keep engagement as you go through, especially for this type of crowd, this type of deliverable. I'm not a huge fan of these types of newsletters personally, but I understand that they're where they fit in some particular things. So let's go through it. So now I'm going to read it. Now you say, now that's a pretty big icebreaker. All right, let's be serious. We're professionals here. No more fun allowed. So obviously you're doing sarcasm here, right? Like this is like fun sarcasm. Yeah. It would behoove you to put an emoji in there to make sure they understand that. Now, a lot of you guys in the chats, I see some people getting burnt, getting upset in the chats as well, because you say things that are sarcastic and the other person takes them literal, all that stuff. Use emojis. That's why emojis exist, right? When people talk normally, you can hear sarcasm, you can hear hints, right? You can hear different things, right? The little subtle meaning of the words. That doesn't exist in text. So they invented emojis to actually solve that problem. Emojis are fun or whatever, and chicks love them or whatever, but really the whole point of them is so you can add emotional context, that tonality that doesn't exist in written text. So I would definitely consider using some sort of winky face or something at the end of no more fun allowed, so they know that you're just joking and you're pretending to get serious, but you're still gonna have fun, right? Because if not, they might read that and be like, wait, like, is this guy serious? They just don't know because it's text, it's not vocal. Does that make sense for you, Charles?
Yeah, makes sense.
All right, so glad you can make it. I must confess something to you. Would you believe me if I told you that your neighbor down the street, call him Joe, possibly contributed one of the most monumental financial calamities of a financial institution in recent history? So you're starting off with some shocking stuff. I like this. It's typically good. Your next line, and you say, and would you further believe, stay with me here, stop dialing 911 for a sec on poor Joe, if I told you we're currently undergoing a technological and financial revolution that is being spearheaded by early adopters not unlike your neighbor Joe. Now, it's kind of a long, complicated sentence, and it's cool. It's still kind of stacking on this idea, but the problem is you haven't really answered what's in it for me, right? Like, I don't really know what I'm going to be learning about here in this next part of the email that's going to be valuable to me. Like you've done a lot to make it fun and entertaining to read, right? Like there's a whole bunch of little fun, cute phrases and stuff in there, but there's no answer of, oh, I'm going to get filthy rich from a new investment vehicle. None of that has been teased or opened up. We're just talking about Joe ending the world, and now all of a sudden Joe's a smart guy. Like, it's confusing, right, for the reader. I would try and somewhere in here give them a bribe to keep reading the rest of this email, because so far you haven't answered what's in it for me. You haven't teased any real opportunity to get my dream state yet. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's keep going. You might have heard of them, but maybe you've been in a coma for the past year. So let me quickly get you up to speed. They call themselves apes. They're a group of Web3 crypto enthusiasts who are fed up with the traditional financial systems and, by extension, the status quo. Now, hypothetically, and again, I'm not big in this world, the people who sign up for this, are they apes, most of them, or are they not?
So by the way I see it, I think that this would be the prime target crowd for this project. So the wait list would probably consist of a lot of people from that world.
So I don't know if it's a good idea then, if the majority of these people are apes, to really go preach to the choir and tell everybody what an ape is.
Yeah. So there's also call them affluent people that kind of they're disdained by this crowd too. So it's just by from what they hear in the news media. So this would kind of be more geared towards the people who don't like them or don't know about them too much, only from CNBC or something like that.
Okay, so you need to be very careful if that's the case, because if you're sending this out to a group of people and a good percent of them are apes, this is not going to be good, right? You're talking down and telling these people what apes are, right? It's going to come off as, someone said pretentious in the chat. It's going to come off as you're kind of talking down to them, and they'll be like, "Oh, this is for beginners who don't even know what this stuff is. I'm out." Boom, and they bounce, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need to be very careful about who you're talking to. If there's a way to segment them in the beginning, or just decide that everybody you talk to already knows who apes are and just keep going. Or if you do mention apes, you just keep it quick, light, breezy, and fun, so that the people who aren't up to speed can get up to speed. I would probably, right here, I'd be like, they call themselves apes, parentheses, there's a good chance you might be one of them. Like, or there's even a chance you might be one of them, or something like that, right? Winky face. Again, like you want to hedge your bets here, because if you just do this and someone who's a pro in the market, or who's one of these apes, they're not going to like this next little, like the way this is presented. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. All right. So let's keep going. So the group of Web3, blah, blah, blah. Everywhere you turn, it seems like every media talking head hates them. It's kind of like the relationship you have trying to kill a fly buzzing around your face, but you can't seem to whack it dead. It never goes away. The problem is you're presenting these guys, you're not presenting them as, you're presenting them as bad. Oh, media heads hate them. They're like a fly. I don't know if you really want to do this, especially if an ape's going to read this. But even if you're trying to convince someone to follow these guys' path or whatever, the way you've presented it isn't terribly great. You try and counteract it here, but I think there's too much negative here. I'd probably just talk about how it's just like the media has been a buzz about these people and aren't quite sure what to think about them because they're doing things completely different in a revolutionary way. I'd try and make it positive or an exciting, or in at least a neutral way, before you then counteract it with a positive. So you say the evolution of this group has been nothing short, parentheses, pun intended, for the apes in the room. So you kind of address it there, which is fun, of remarkable. Again, you probably want to fix this first part if you are going to be talking to people who are apes in the room, just because they might take umbrage at it. They believe that crypto assets are the future of wealth creation and are working to promote the adoption of these technologies alongside companies like GameStop, Voldemort. And many of these folks know what it's like to be down bad. And I don't mean like when your OnlyFans foot fetish request doesn't get accepted. Only kidding, of course. Seriously, some of you guys, car tailpipes, question mark. Anyways, moving on. Okay, so look, there's a point where you can be fun and do fun things, but if you completely lose the thread, then people want to leave, right? Like they want to be there, they want to be entertained, sure, but they want to, most of all, they want to be entertained while they're learning valuable stuff, right? If you go too far off the thread and you say something like, anyways, moving on, anytime I see a copywriter say anything like this, where they say anyways, or back, like, or, moving on, or anyways, or back to the blah, 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 it's an indication that they've lost the thread, right? Like they've gone off on a tangent too far and now they're starting over and they're trying to get back to the place. The problem is when you say anyways, it negates everything that happened before that. The reader now knows that you lost track. You said something that wasn't important, and that the thing that now follows was most important. So if anything was good in the past and it's really a bad, you don't actually believe it. Anyways is a very, very dangerous word, but it's always an indicator of when you've lost the thread. You kind of went off into some overextended explanation of what apes are and what they do. And you lost the thread, and so you're trying to bring it back. So you say, anyways, moving on, right? The cute stories and the analogies and, or the whatever, talk about OnlyFans and foot fetish, like there might be a place for that to play along with this, but I think you lost the thread talking about apes, and you then went on to a funny story or funny point, and then you bounced, right? I think you lost the thread. I think you need to simplify it. Does that make sense?
Yes. So this is probably an extension of, I kind of drew a blank on the, when you asked about if I knew their dream state or their problems. But in my head, I know if I took a moment to write it down, I could probably word it out better. But that's probably the main reasons, because I'm not focusing on big main idea. I have no, I didn't make an outline of the newsletter. Of
Yeah, you
points
just
to touch
rambled.
on.
You went in and just kind of said some fun things. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, let's keep going. Let's read the rest of it, and then we're going to give some overall comments about this. Yeah, I mean, this is a very, very long newsletter, and you try to make it fun and entertaining. You lose the thread a couple of times. You could put GIFs along this to make it a little bit more entertaining, but it's obvious that there was some lack of structure in your brain around the actual avatar and their problems and what they want and how this thing helps them and the actions you want them to take. And you more just sat down and try and write something creative and fun that reference their cultural realities, right? As good as that is, that idea of doing things that reference their cultural realities and building trust with them, that's a secondary task. The primary task is providing them value along something they care about, right? Or at least teasing or introducing ideas that are going to be valuable for them and help them get to their dream state. Now, I could read all this. I'm not going to. I don't want to read all of this. This is too much for me to read. And you kind of get to the point down here. I mean, so you've done some things here where you say like, well, cannot be this concentrated. You've kind of spoken to some of that avatar. But the whole purpose of this is you're kind of teasing the idea that you're going to send a super secret whatever link that you can send to get to your friends so they can get involved, and then you can get moved ahead on the wait list, and that's cool and all. But you've buried it beneath so much here that isn't relevant or valuable to the reader that most of them aren't going to read it. So I'm not a fan of these long rambling newsletters. You can do some of these same fun little references in addition to a normal DIC or PAS email or HSO email even, that accomplish the same point of building trust and some rapport and helping them think that you're cool and part of their in group or whatever, without having to write 3 pages of text without an outline. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
So I recommend you focus a little bit more on understanding your avatar, their current situation, their problems, the mistakes they're making, the things that are keeping them from getting what they want, and then how the product helps them, or how the action that you want them to take actually helps them get closer to their dream state. Because you miss it here. You definitely miss it. Do you have any questions for me, Charles?
I do not right now. I mean, you kind of said it. Missed the target here. So I'll go back and see if I can do something with this still. Probably have to
I'd recommend you
the
start from the ground up. Now it's hard to take something like this and whittle it down and fix it. It's better just to take the lessons you learned and start over again. Most of the time, when you get your copy reviewed, unless it's something fairly minor, most of the time copy reviews address fundamental issues with the structure or the understanding of the avatar or product or problem. And you can't usually just like change it unless it's like make this subject line more disruptive, right? If it's a problem like this, you need to take the lessons learned and start over from scratch, right? You can still maybe use some of these things, but I wouldn't even look at it. I would I'd create a new outline. I'd write my page. And maybe if your mind prompts up some of the old stuff, you can use that. But I wouldn't look at this email again if I was you. I'd just write a new one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is cool, man. Like, again, hey, this is part of the copy review process. We try stuff. We do some stuff. You kind of went out on a limb and tried out some new ideas. There's some things here that really landed pretty well, but this is part of the process. You learn what you did wrong and what you need to change next time. So I wouldn't beat yourself up over this. This is just part of the learning process.
Right. And so I guess my question is, I mean, how much is too much when because I know that you said it got, the call to action got buried in all the other stuff that I put. So how much is too much when it comes to I mean, hinting at that ultimate thing that you want them to do throughout a newsletter? You know what I mean? Like,
what you mean by hinting at the thing you ultimately
like,
want them to do?
because the call, you said like the main idea, the main driving point of the newsletter was got buried underneath this wall of text. So I'm wondering, do you mean like I should start in my next one that I would do? Should I get in the habit of sprinkling like teasers into that feed into the call to action at the end?
You need to answer what's in it for me. You need to tease and bribe the reader from the very beginning so they know that it's worth reading the rest of the email. No matter if it's DIC, PAS, HSO, 100 lines, 60 words, doesn't really matter. You have to answer what's in it for me and give them a reason for reading and continuing on, and maybe even, like you said, previewing some of the actions they're going to take, even if it's just a tease, so they're curious to get to the end. No matter what type of email you write, you always need to build curiosity at the very beginning, open some loops, and then close at the end.
Okay.
Cool. What other questions you have for me, Charles? Any other questions?
Nope. As soon as this is done, I'm back to the drawing board.
Oh, hey, that's how you learn a lot. That's the game. All right, let's do some questions. All right, Luke Deman, what do you got for me? What's your question?
Emma, can you hear me?
I can.
If you don't mind, I just keep my hand up for the general Q&A. I haven't got through it in the last call, so I just assumed maybe if I have my hand up a little earlier, it will help.
No, I'm gonna lower your hand.
Okay?
We'll see if we can get you.
Oh,
in
no,
the end, though.
okay.
That way I can handle it. Do you have a question about his copy though?
Kind of. I would like to have your general, kind of opinion about like GIFs and images.
Oh, that's super related, of course. Yeah, you can use them. By all means, use GIFs and images.
Right.
If it's appropriate for the audience, like if you're writing to a Wall Street crowd, you probably shouldn't use a bunch of like SpongeBob GIFs, but yeah, you can use GIFs for sure. Use them, use them liberally.
I will. Thanks, man.
Good question. All right, Kevin, what's your question, my friend?
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Kevin. Yeah, what do you got?
All right. So was his copy, was it the one that had like the big paragraph, or was that the previous copy?
What do you mean? What's your
There
question?
was like a big piece of I was just gonna ask if that's like appropriate for email. Like,
You mean this
like
much, all this copy that he wrote?
No, I think it might have been the previous one. I'm not sure. I saw there was like a very big paragraph, and I wanted to know if that's like appropriate.
A very
for an
big
email.
paragraph. No, you don't want to do very big paragraphs.
Right.
You want to keep it short and easy. Each
That one
line
right there,
kind
right
of
there, right
separated. You mean
Right,
this entire? This isn't an email. This is
Yeah.
his answer to the avatar question.
Oh, damn,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
but your question, yeah, like you want to keep it short,
Okay.
easy to read. If you put big paragraphs, they are not something you want to read.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Tamelo, what do you got for me, my friend? Oh, I can't hear you. Oh, he's still going. Tamelo, I cannot hear you. Yeah, I don't have your audio. No audio from you. We'll come back to you. You figure out your audio. We'll come back to you. Edward, what do you got?
now?
Oh, wait, we got Tamelo. Wait, Edward. Tamelo, go ahead.
You got me now.
I got you. What do you got?
Okay, what's the general rule of thumb on how long DIC email should be?
150 words. 150 words. Yeah.
Okay.
If you're doing an HSO and it's a really good story, you can maybe bump it out to 200. But if you're a beginner, I recommend you focus at 100 words. It's going to force you to do a good job. It's going to keep you from making mistakes.
All right, cool.
Stuff. All right, Edward, what do you got?
Okay, so as far as I know, this was the first email after the welcome email, and it's not unusual DIC, PAS, or HSO email. When is it appropriate to use this kind of very long email instead of the usual DIC, for example?
I don't know. I don't know when it's appropriate. Long form newsletters are kind of a thing of the past. They were really common back in the day, 10 years ago. You can write longer form newsletters like this still if it's just a content and kind of connecting to people, but I don't really know anybody who reads these anymore, so I don't really recommend this format to anybody unless it's something that unless it's something that's got really good numbers to back it up. Like if you show up to a client and they're getting this and they're getting an insane open rate, an insane click-through rate from a long newsletter like this, then maybe you can kind of keep going with that format. but I don't really believe in it. I don't believe in these type of newsletters personally.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's do Fayez and then Brandon, and then we're gonna move on to the next piece of copy. We'll do Ray too. Yeah, we'll do Fayez, Brandon, and Ray, and then we're gonna move on to the next piece of copy.
Can you hear me?
I can. Which question, my friend?
So I was wondering, so if you have a topic and you have to write an email about it, now how important would the length be? For example, you might have a topic and it's really important and you can't fit all the information in 150 words. Does the length matter in that situation?
I typically recommend that if you're going to be going out and giving an extremely long piece of text with this primarily focused on providing value, you make that as a blog post on a website and you write a DIC email getting people to go read the blog post on the website. The email inbox is not the ideal place to consume valuable content. It's a good place to build a little interest and then leave the platform and go to a dedicated media such as a video or a blog post where you can learn that. It's not typically ideal to make an email that's just purely educational. It's better to have that content hosted on a website and have them go take a look at that from the email. That's what I recommend. Now, if you're going to write a blog post and an email, like I said, if the client has a bunch of really good data to back that up as a winning strategy, sure, maybe you keep doing it. But I don't recommend that as a rule of thumb.
All right, thanks.
Yeah. All right. Ray, what's your question?
Hey, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
So, what is the next step for Charles? Like, how can he learn from what he wrote? Should he rewrite it? Should he scrap it and write a whole new thing, or should he go through this?
He should scrap it.
So scrap it and completely
when it's a fundamental problem like this, what you do is you don't look at it anymore. You sit down, you take the lessons that you learned, you come up with a better outline, a better format for your next email. You get a little more clarity around your avatar, what they actually want, where their dream state is, what the problems are, all those things. And then you sit down and write a brand new email. He might still include some of the same elements and lines from this email, but I don't even recommend he looks at it. If they come up unprompted in his mind if they come up as he's writing the new email, then by all means use them, but he shouldn't really try and take this and fix this, right? This is like taking Frankenstein's monster and trying to turn it into a beauty queen and like put makeup on it and then send it off to like go win like Miss America, whatever, right? Like, could it be done? No, it really can't. It's better. Like there's so many fundamental core problems with it. You should go and you should start over from the very beginning, right? And instead of trying to hodgepodge fix something that's kind of broken, just go buy a Bugatti, right? Like that's what we need to do here.
So if the problem is in the base, you should just scrap it. And if
100%,
the base is actually if the base is good, but there's some problems around it, you should work with the base.
If you have a Bugatti, but you got a fender bender and like the back fender is like all scraped up, you just replace the fender. You don't buy a new Bugatti, right? If you're driving a Lada and you get in a fender bender, why are you going to Lada go get a Bugatti, right?
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah. Not that there's anything wrong with the Lada. It's the first car that came to mind. All right, guys, we're gonna go to the next piece of copy, and then we'll move on from there. So, Mr. Victor or Victor, are you on the call?
Yes, I am. Hello.
Is it Victor?
Victor is
Victor.
because it's from
All
Poland.
right.
Polish
Poland.
name.
Victor. Okay, cool. Well, let's go into this. So tell me a little bit more about your avatar, their current state, their dream state, all that good stuff.
Okay, so I made avatar very specific. So her name is Emily. She's in her 30s. She belongs to the middle class.
Okay.
And their beliefs. So her beliefs. So she believes that life of the mother is hard and full of stress. She has like overprotective parent, and she believes that as you get child, you don't have any time for yourself. And right now she's frustrated by stress, by anxiety, her immune system is weaker because she has to deal with a lot of stress. Her dream situation. So obviously she wants to feel stress-free, have more freedom, like she wants to clear her mind and gain some free time to take care of herself and find some life balance, because only she cares about right now is raising her child.
Got it. So what mistakes is she making right now that are keeping her from having that dream state today?
So she thinks like the only way to get through stress, anxiety is like visit with a doctor, for example, psychologist, and like she doesn't know that through yoga she can clear her mind and get rid of stress and gain more control about her life.
Okay, so right now she doesn't really know if there's a way out of her current state, and if there is one, she's like give me those happy pills from the psychiatrist, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Now I'm sure there's a lot of other factors that you can play around with here, right? Because as much as they would like to be free of anxiety, I think there's probably some status elements, like they want to have status in the eyes of their husband, in the eyes of other people. They want to feel like they're actually living a life that feels fulfilling. They probably don't feel terribly fulfilled, dealing with all the stress and anxiety. They probably want to feel free and happy. They probably feel tied down. There's a lot of different things you can attach onto that, but I think we've got a good enough understanding to move on. Now, I chose yours because you submitted Facebook ads and Instagram ads. You had a whole bunch of stuff. You had like all your Facebook ads and Instagram ads and like DIC and P. You had like all forms of email. And you're like, pick one of these things. And I was like, I want to pick two. So I did your Instagram and your Facebook ad, because we got a lot of people that have a lot of questions about those and how to write those based on the stuff that we've given. So we're going to go over that.
Okay.
We're going to go over those forms of copy, which was good, right? So you guys, a lot of you guys submit emails because that's what you practice mostly. I'm more than happy to review Facebook ads and Instagram posts or sales pages or any type of other copy too. So I was happy when I saw I had something to pick from your submission. So Facebook ad. Now I've got a question for you really quickly. Which of these is because you've got this entire headline, you've got this link under here, did you sit down and like really define the different parts of the Facebook ad? Because there's several parts of the Facebook ad. There's the image, there's the actual headline that's down there by the button. Then there's the body copy. Did you define that? And if so, which part of this is the actual headline that's down there by like the learn more CTA button? Is it this, or is it this down here? Or did you not really think about it so much?
This take care of yourself now and you will notice the effect the same day.
Yeah.
So it's like a call to action.
Yeah.
And
but do you have so what I'm trying to say is, I think if you're going to be doing Facebook ads and writing those out, you want to make sure that you define which part is which. One second, let me pull up an example ad so I can help you see this a little bit better. Let's see. Pull up my ad finder and I can show you on those examples. Let's see if it works. Perfect. Because this is a big question you guys have. I thought it'd be fairly clear with what I put together, but obviously I'm gonna put together dedicated sprints for it. But in the meantime, I can give you guys a little sneak peek into how to do this. Those of you who are here on the call, and then we can clip this out and put it as a dedicated resource. All right, so let's take a look at this is probably a pretty good example right here. This ad. Now again, my ad finder kind of changes it a little bit stylistically, but there's a few elements to every Facebook ad. There's the image or the media, right? The reason I say that first is because this is the first thing that the person usually sees when they see it on their feed. This is the first part. It's the disrupt element. So you've got this image, you've got the actual primary copy, which is this sort of this body part where you put the text to explain all the cool things and all that fun stuff. That's the body copy. And then there's what's called the headline when you're making the ad, which is this part right here. Rent a world-class marketing team, ... only $97. Shop now, right? And the shop now is your CTA button. You can pick from a couple. You can do learn more, download now, shop now. There's a whole bunch of different things. You can do no button, but usually there's that button right there. Those are the elements of a Facebook ad. So when you're writing out a Facebook ad as like free value in a doc, or you're just practicing, you need to like specify which is which, right? You're going to come into your copy and be like, headline, and like, then you're going to put the copy that you're going to put down here, right? And then you'll do like primary text, and it'll be all this copy right here. And then it'll be like, image, and like you can like build a little table out of it. If you have your own Facebook business account, you can actually go and put it together, and then hit preview, and you can like send a screenshot of the ad to your client. That's probably the best way to do it. Obviously, like who's advertising is different because it'll be your account instead of her account. And you can make a note of that, obviously, but you can kind of get an idea of what the image looks like, right? So you want to define which pieces you're using, or which pieces you're actually showing in your document, or else they won't be able to conceive of it. It's better if you can do a picture as well, but you want to probably make like a little table where you have like what you're doing over here, the actual content for that section over there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. So let's take a look at this real quick. So let's look at it from the top down, as I like to think of it, from the way that it's consumed, right? I recommend you do DIC for your Facebook ads. Again, you're trying to grab someone in the outside world, build curiosity, move them over to go look at a sales page. Best way to do that is usually with DIC. But with no matter what your image, you want your image to be something that stops the scroll. So people are just like sitting on Facebook or Instagram, they're scrolling through mindlessly. You want it to be an image that catches their eye and makes them stop, right? This image probably works. She's doing like a complicated feat of whatever. She's not an ugly woman, right? Like this is something that's going to catch people's eyes for a lot of people, right? Again, you got to think about things that are catch the scroll for the individual. So specifically for the avatar, I mean, you guys are a bunch of like young male HU2 students. This is going to stop your scroll. But you got to ask yourself, like, would a 35-year-old mom stop and look at this image? Probably still, right? Yeah. So if they see that, they're going to look at that, and then they're probably going to see the first line of copy up here at the top. So again, when you're first looking at a Facebook ad, typically what you see, now this has all default expanded, but typically you see the first two lines, and then there's a little learn more on the page. Like you guys have all seen Facebook ads. That's typically how it works. You hit learn more and expands the full copy. So those first two lines are a big part of the disrupt element again, right? You're trying to grab their attention, tease, and then drive them to hit the like read more and go through the rest of it, right? So your first part here is clear your mind of current problems and take care of your body at the same time thanks to this enjoyable method. Now, there's a problem with using these kind of images where she's doing like some extreme yoga stuff, like this weird headstand thing, or the other one you have for your Instagram ad, which again, when you're creating these Instagram, Facebook ads, they're pretty much, as long as it's a feed ad, it's basically the same thing, right? You can create one in one platform and it runs across both, right? Where she's doing some type of extreme yoga thing that most 30-year-old moms couldn't do if they wanted to. You've got to be really careful when you start teasing some sort of method, because if they read this, they say, clear your mind of current problems, take care of your body at the same time, thanks to this enjoyable method. And they see this, most 30-year-old moms would be like, well, I'm out because I can't do a handstand, whatever, right? So you got to be careful when you're using an extreme image like this to catch attention, that they don't misunderstand that that's the requirement for what they need, right? To become happy or healthy or whatever, right? So you got to be careful with that.
Yeah, but like I couldn't find something else, like some
the image is fine. Like by all
Oh,
means use this kind of image because it's going to catch attention, and that's the first battle you got to win. You got to make sure you win that at all costs. So use images like that to make it happen. But when it comes to actually teasing the method, you need to make it clear in their mind that it's easy, that's something that anyone can do, and it's not the handstand shown in the image, right? Or else they might get confused, right? That's the only point I'm making. The image is fine. How you phrase how you tease this image, how you tease something is something you need to consider, right? So So clear your mind of current problems and take care of your body at the same time, thanks to this enjoyable method. I'd probably delete these first two, pick one that's their main driver. Either like de-stress, relax, probably is going to be some of their bigger things, right? Heal from the stress of your day in 15 seconds or whatever, blah, 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 thanks to an enjoyable, easy method, right? So they know, okay, she's probably not talking about this crazy handstand thing, right? So that's not a terrible first line. It can be shortened up, it can be improved, but like what you're trying to do there, like you're definitely trying to do the right thing. Your next thing is a question. Again, solid way to engage the reader. Lots of responsibilities and stress constantly keeping you on edge. Now that's a fairly clinical way to talk about it. I would try and make this question a little more vivid and a little more interesting for them, in a way that's a little more compelling, right? I would probably and make it, I mean, keep you on edge was one way to kind of describe this physical sensation of it. I would try and find a more vibrant way to describe their physical sensations of this, right? So, but needless to say, this question, it's a good solid move. Your next line, you can either let these factors continue to destroy your psyche, or you can take action and feel a purity of mind like never before. Now, this is male speak, right? Like I read this and I was like, this is a man speaking. This is not, and he's speaking to men. This is not what a woman wants to hear or how they want to hear it, right? So I would try and this is probably one of the trickier things you have to do as a male copywriter writing for a female client, is you have to learn how to speak to females as if you're female, which is fairly tricky. Your best friend's Facebook ads manager, or this chick's already existing social media feed, you go read how she talks to people, and then you turn around and use that same type of language, right? So I would probably say like, I'd probably start talking about what they miss. Like, do you miss the days of feeling loose, free, happy and carefree, blah, blah, blah. There's a simple method. And again, when you say a simple method, I probably get a little more specific. She's doing like yoga classes, right? Is that the product that you're trying to get them to eventually buy at some point?
Yeah, she's doing like private classes.
I'd say there's a simple, easy practice that anybody can do from the comfort of their own homes. They'll help them clear. There's a simple, easy practice that anybody can do from the comfort of their own homes that will help you clear your mind and feel better in your own skin. I probably would say better in your own skin, because that's like implying that like we're kind of starting to talk about the beauty and weight loss side of things. I'd probably just stick with the mental and the free feminine energy side of things personally, right? So I'd probably say there's a simple method that anyone can do from the comfort of their homes, no matter what experience level they have. Again, trying to negate this whole, do I have to do pyramid, like a weird handstand, yoga handstand? Like I'd say there's a simple method you can do from the comfort of your own home to help you release the stress that's holding you down and tap into your happy, carefree, feminine energy, right? Like I'd say something along those lines, which is what your typical 30-year-old mother wants, right? And then I'd say I'd probably do another line, have a link inside the body text for the CTA, and then I'd define and then I'd have an actual CTA at the bottom, right? Which would be so let's take a look at this next line real quick. So you just take care of yourself now and you will notice the effects the same day. This is kind of take care of yourself now is really vague. It doesn't really mean anything to them. It's kind of an empty thing. I would probably delete this entire line. I'd probably say discover, so I click here to learn this simple practice and they start experiencing the relief immediately. Link, right? And then for your CTA, I would do a short fascination bullet, like 15-minute easy practice to tap into your femininity, or like to release yourself from stress. I make a nice short, hyper-packed fascination bullet and use that as my headline. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. But overall, I mean, like you've got some of the good elements here. There's just a few things you need to tighten up to make it work a little bit. But like this could work really well as a Facebook ad. And again, one of the major drivers for a Facebook ad is how disruptive is the image. If you can come up with a really disruptive image that will stop the scroll, as long as you can then turn around and create curiosity with good fascination style text, you will win. You will get like a high performing Facebook ad, almost to a T. So you've got some of the elements there. You just need to get the fascination on the back end and make sure that you present this to your client in a way where they can see, oh, this is the copy. This is the headline text. This is the CT. Like it's all clear and laid out form. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Let's look at the next one because this is another example of this is an IG ad. Now, again, your IG ad, your Facebook ads, they're actually the same as long as it's a feed ad and you're not talking about like a story ad or some other type of placement. It's the exact same thing, right? There's an image, and the only thing that's different with an IG ad is I don't think whatever you put as your headline text, it just doesn't show up on Facebook. They just see the first line, or on Instagram, they just see the first line of the copy. They can hit learn more, read it. You can't do a link in there. You have to do a link in bio, but it's basically the same exact thing, right? So again, this is a disruptive image. This is going to stop the scroll. People are like, wait, is she levitating? No, she's hanging. Oh, that's so impressive. Like this is still going to work for that reader, right? The 30-year-old mother is going to wish she's on some nice tropical beach, enjoying herself without any kids around, right? Like this is a good image for this, right? Desire to feel like you're 20 years old again. I would try and make this feel conversational. This feels, it's an odd way to ask the question. It's kind of how men talk, like, hey, just a statement of fact, question mark, right? Like that's kind of how men are and how we communicate. I would probably say, what would you give to feel, or what wouldn't you give to feel as carefree as your 20-year-old self, question mark, or something like that. Like you can play around and there's some more engaging questions you can use to get it started. And then this next part, life in your 30s doesn't have to be as bad as you think. I would probably, it's difficult when you start, if Facebook can sometimes get upset at you if you start calling out demographic information about the person that you're using and you're targeting in the ad itself. They might disprove your ad. So I'd probably not say life in your 30s. I'd probably instead, and again, you're saying as bad as you think, that's kind of a vague way to talk about their current pains and frustration. I'd paint a vivid image of the stress and the frustration they feel. And then again, boom, introducing a method to, and instead of improve physically and mentally, that's male speak. That's not female speak. I would probably introducing a blah, blah, blah practice to, and then describe the dream state where it comes to the way that they're going to feel about themselves and how relaxed they'll be and how they can escape the worries of blah, blah, blah. What can you expect? And then you have a list of things here: stress reduction, mind control, productivity, life balance, reassurance, mobility increase. These are really boring statements of fact. I would try and make them exciting and vivid / fascinations. For example, instead of stress reduction, you could say feel calm and at peace no matter how hectic your day. That was just a really quick, like I invested like maybe 1 brain calorie in coming up with like a notch better. You can make it vivid and more exciting and make each of those really, really powerful curiosity and vivid descriptions of something that they want. And then they'll be a lot more likely to click the link. Where you say here, let yourself be helped and achieve your dream state. It's kind of a weak CTA. Let yourself be helped. I mean, that's a little bit more into the female side of things. But achieve your dream state, like they're not copywriters. They don't know what you mean by that. You want to describe their dream state, not just say the words dream state, achieve that light, happy, easy feeling that you haven't felt for the last 6 months or whatever. Like you want to like actually describe it, not just say it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. What questions do you have for me about this whole thing? What questions do you have about the whole process here with Facebook ads or Instagram ads?
I don't know. I think that everything is clear for me right now. So
good. Yeah, I mean, it's not that complicated. It's a DIC email with just a few different elements. It's got a big image. That's the main part of the disrupt. And then you just got to make sure it follows just a slightly different deliverable format. But the concepts and how it works from a psychological side point of view is exactly the same. All right, so we got some questions here from you guys about Facebook ads and stuff like that. Let's go through and answer your questions. To start with Ray, and we'll work our way through this. So, Ray, what do you got from my friend?
I'm sorry, I actually had my hand still up from last time. No question.
No, you're good. 1 second. I'm just gonna take care of something real quick. Next guy, Luke, you have a new one for me, or?
Yes, I have. So when you showed the find my ad site or something like that, it had a really like big email, almost email copy like of size.
Up here, you mean this
right.
part right here?
Wait,
yeah, what are you talking
well,
about?
I would actually show you showed the find my ad, like the other tab you have.
Oh, over
I
here.
think I think it has like a really big body, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And in comparison, the one from I don't know his name we have we reviewed
Victor.
right now.
Victor. Yeah.
Right, Victor. It's comparably shorter. So right now I am kind of confused how I should approach these ads. Should I make like bigger bodies, kind of like when writing email, or like really short?
It's DIC. You can do however
Sure,
you can do basically as much as you want. I try and keep it under 150 words. Some of my most powerful Facebook ads have been 3 lines though. So you just got to build curiosity around something they want. Like once that's achieved, you don't have to go any further unless you're trying to filter people out, which you might do if you have some targeting issues and stuff like that. But really, it doesn't. I wouldn't stress out about it. There's no. Again, the copywriting SWAT team won't kick your door down if you do a 3-line Facebook ad versus an 8-line Facebook ad. You know what I'm saying?
I understand. It was really helpful. Thanks, man.
Yeah, no worries. Ali, what do you got for me, my friend?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Well, what was my question? Oh yeah, so I've been in HU2 for a while, and I've not been in the copywriting campus for a while. And what I want to ask is, can you, if you're a beginner, should you work with multiple clients or one?
If you're a beginner, you should be stacking as many clients as possible. That's a general question that we'll talk about at the end after we go over this copy.
I'll ask at the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jesse Garcia, what do you got for me, my friend? What's your question?
Can you hear me, bro?
I can, yeah.
Yeah. So I've been working on Facebook ads with my client, and I get too stressed out about the nuances, but I was more stressed out about the creatives. It's really out of my control because my client has a guy who does all the graphics, right? Yeah. And I was telling him like, because I was making some fascinations for the ad, and what the guy was doing was making the words really tiny, so like you can't, like not tiny, but like it doesn't stand out, like the main fascination of it. So like it's not the best fascination I came up with, but it was still somewhere along the lines of like make it out alive using because it's for e-commerce. It's a coaching service. So I was trying to make a recession proof ad, and I said make it out alive, building a e-commerce brand in the next 90 days and make 10K in 90 days, or it's all free. Ooh. Or somewhere along the lines of that. Okay. But my main question is, does the ad creative and how it looks and the colors and the font matter, or is it just?
Of course.
Okay.
Ad creative definitely matters, right? Like that's the colors and stuff like that is going to contribute a huge part to how disruptive it is. Also, really quick, you need to be careful with that type of language on Facebook. If you promise that they'll make a certain amount of money in a specific amount of time, Facebook will shut that down. They don't like those kind of claims anymore. So you need to be a little more cautious with that. If you make like specific, like make $1 million in 6, or make 6 figures in the next 6 months, Facebook will shut you down 9 times out of 10.
Even if you're promising like free, because their promise is if I don't make you 10K in 90 days, then I'll give you the entire store and your money back.
Yeah, Facebook can be kind of tricky about that still. I'd be cautious. I'd be very cautious with your client if you're doing that. They will still shut you down.
Okay, well, we were putting our ads still. I mean, they didn't get shut down.
You can do it. They won't always shut you down, but I'm just saying be careful. Gotcha, Test it first before you throw like a ton of money at it or really scale up too much, get your whole ad account shut down. That's what I'm saying. So if you've tested it and it's working, cool, keep it up.
And then one more thing, real quick. So Chief was telling me that the messaging, like it's usually not the copy itself, because he's like, you can't just assume that your copy sucks. Like it might be their funnel, but their funnel is the thing that's really carrying them. And I don't really know how to go about it when it comes to making a good ad copy. Like it's kind of a different format from email. Like, how do you
It's not that much different. It really isn't. So you're saying that their funnel is working pretty well, like they're getting good conversion rates for the opt-in page. What's their current conversion rate? I'm only tolerating this like general question because it's directly about this sort of general topic I took some time to go over here. But tell me a little bit, like, what is their current conversion rate for their sales page or their opt-in page that you're sending people to?
Well, we're like scaling really small right now because we're just testing it out. We haven't really I don't really know the numbers right now, man. I'd have to get back to you on that one, honestly. But they're very small just because we're testing. We're not trying to go out there and do anything big yet.
So you're just testing, but you don't know what the conversion rate is on the page right now.
Well, for the last time they told me, they went over, like, because we were going over the conversion rate and the CTRs and the CPAs, and they said that the landing page and the free training was the only thing that was carrying it. Like, the click-through rate wasn't great, but there wasn't a lot of bounces off the landing page in
The
the
landing page, if someone clicks through the ad, they're gonna opt in, basically.
they're gonna opt in. Yeah.
Okay. And you just want to up your conversion or your click-through rate on your actual Facebook ad. There's a lot of factors. There's a lot of factors that go into creating a good Facebook ad beyond just the copy, right? So you need to write good copy. It needs to be disruptive and stuff like that. But targeting is important. Like, so who they have as their actual audience they've defined on Facebook to send the ads in front of, that's extremely important. You've got to have that figured out to some degree first. But when it comes to writing good Facebook ads, it's not that different from just a high curiosity DIC email, right? You're gonna have an image that catches attention. You can do text like you're doing, like a Frank Kern, because I've seen the images like the Frank Kern guide style deal where it's just, white background, big bold red text, and that's your image, right? Like, and it's your main fascination. You can do that, right? That it grabs attention.
Right.
And then in the email, or in the body part, you just do what you do with the DIC email. You write 3 lines to stack curiosity around the current thing that they really want to do, and then you drive them to the CTA. And that as long as your fascination is good and it resonates with that particular audience, and you've tested out and found the right one, then you'll be fine. You'll be able to get a high click-through rate. You can get better than a 1%. You can get heck, I've gotten close to a 10% convert or click-through rate on some of my ads, right? Just because it's stacked curiosity so well on top of something they want, and it catches attention really well. I think you might be overthinking it. I think you just need to sit down, make sure you understand your avatar, test out some different big fascinations, make sure that the ad is disruptive. I mean, obviously that's going to be their designer doing that. So as long as it looks disruptive and they can read it and it's going to stop the scroll, just keep testing and you'll get it. It's not that complicated.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you for answering my question, dude. It's been weeks since I've been trying to ask you. I just keep missing the meetings.
I know it's been touch and go. I've answered a few of your questions out of experience chat, but it's a testing process. And I wouldn't stress if I was you. I just would keep working your way through it. It's the same basic like psychological levers that you pull with a high curiosity DIC email. Same thing.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you, bro.
No worries. All right, let's do Nico and Real Ants and Icarus. We talked before. I forgot your name. But Nico, what do you got?
Hello.
Oh, we got the wrong Nicholas. Let's go with Nico. Actually, let's do Nicholas and then we'll do Nico. So Nicholas, what's your question?
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you, Nicholas.
Yes. My question is about Alfie's email. Alfie's copy.
Alfie's email. Yeah. What's your question?
So he mentioned that he had a competitor, like another copywriter that his client mentioned. In this case, can you like offer something for free or something to your client to beat the competition?
It's less about offering something for free as it is about setting up a deal that's more strategic and has a better risk reversal. That's what I said. So instead of doing it for free, you do it in a way that lowers the risk. Free isn't necessarily a good frame to set, like, hey, I'll do this all for free. I'm not a fan of doing that. You might throw something in as bonus just for fun, but I would never agree to just plain free work. Does that make sense?
Right. Yes. My other question is about Charles' email copy. So the guy made a lot of jokes in his email, and he made it too long. Is it way better? Is it safer to assume they're a formal client, or you're always speaking to a formal person?
No, man, jokes are cool. I'm all for jokes. Jokes are great. Humor is extremely important element. If it's a niche that allows it, like I said, if you're not writing to like stuck up Wall Street guys, other than that, dude, use humor all day long. Humor is super helpful.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, jokes are cool.
Thank you.
All right. So let's go to Mr. Real Ants. What do you got for me, my friend?
Hi Andrew. I'm probably gonna sound like a bit like a boomer, but how do I use emojis in my text? Like this guy.
Like how do you insert them into the text?
Yes.
That's a Google question. Depends on your platform, depends on the tool you're using. I'm gonna let you Google that one.
All right, okay, no problem. Thanks.
Yeah, no worries. Iklas, what do you got for me, my friend? What's your question?
Hi Andrew. Yeah, I've got a question regarding, so you know when we're talking to like our avatars of women, do we like talk with like more emotion, or like how do we like talk to resonate with that avatar if she's a woman properly?
And I can't give you the birds and the bees speech, man. Like you just gotta talk to a woman like you talk to a woman. Just start, someone in the chat just said just start crying. Yeah, just try that one. Just like cry a little bit before and then just write, and then it's really easy. Like all jokes aside, yeah, like you have to understand that female avatars they're emotionally driven in ways that, I mean, men are emotionally driven as well, right? It's not like men and women are terribly different when it comes to the fact that we are emotionally driven and then we justify with logic. Men might respond a little bit less to emotional plays or overt emotional plays. Women tend to respond a little bit better. If you can help a woman feel seen and heard and understood, then you're going to have a pretty good advantage when it comes to them proposing new solutions for her inside of the copy. So.
Right. Okay. But isn't that like the same with men as well?
Yeah, it is the same with men. There's a slightly different there's a different language around it. You want to with men, it's a little bit more about where they're trying to go and their direction and their intentions. And with women, it's more about like their emotions and where they are, right? Who they are now, right?
Okay.
Typically, that's what I've seen when it comes to writing for them. But it's pretty easy to switch to writing for women if you just go and read what female gurus do. Like if you were to go to this this chick's Instagram page or whatever and read how she talks to other women about like different things and how she interacts in the comments with them, and just read the comments, it's pretty easy to see how they communicate and what they focus on, and then just start kind of copying it.
Right, like you using words like women empowerment and all of that kind of stuff, basically.
Maybe it depends on the niche, right? It really does.
It depends on who it is, but yeah, that's my question. Thanks, Andrew.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, let's move on to the final piece of copy, and we're going to review that one now. So, Mr. Emo X, are you on the call?
Hello.
Awesome. Is your name Emil? It's not Emo.
Yeah, it's Emil.
Okay, because I have like an image of you as like, speaking of high school, like the goth kid from high school in my mind, but I'll try not to imagine you like that. So tell us about your avatar.
So I would consider my avatar as overweight people, 18 to 50 years old maybe, who have been overweight for their whole life, and they just started eating healthy and being more active. They don't like their body and they don't feel healthy. They also feel guilty. They can't do certain activities. They want to lose weight so they can feel more confident in themselves and be more active and healthy.
Are we focusing on men or women here?
Both.
Both. I recommend you pick one. Most of the time, you're going to probably have one that's predominant for your niche and industry. So I recommend you probably pick one. And when it comes to your avatar, you want to define it. So you've defined your target market, like your ideal customer. We want to now define that and create an instance of them in your brain. So picture a fat person in your brain that you're writing to. You pick someone you think might fit this thing, pick somebody, and that's your avatar, right? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
you have to picture a fat person in your brain. It's terrible. What are the mistakes? So you say when I ask the question, what problems are stopping them from getting their dream situation? You say they're making little mistakes. They're keeping them from success. What little mistakes are they making, and why is it important that they stop making these little mistakes?
Well, if they talk with the coach, they will find out.
Yeah, but like, why is it important that they talk to the coach and find these little mistakes?
I don't know.
Yeah. So as a copywriter, you need to make sure you understand that, because if not, you turn into the were you here for the beginning with the story about the Indian and the baskets?
Yeah.
Yeah, it becomes, hey, you're fat, do this because you're fat, right? Like, as cool as that is, like, instead of just saying, hey, you're my target market, buy this product, you need to be able to say, hey, here's the situation, this is what you want. The reason you can't get it is because this thing right here. This call is going to remove that problem and give you the tools you need to be successful by the call, like show up on the call, right? You got to go sort of a level beyond just you're fat, you need this call, the coach will tell you what you need to do, right? Man, the YouTube algorithm is going to catch this one on the back end. It's going to be funny. So you said this is a sales page. Is this like supposed to be a landing page on their site?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So these mistakes are holding you from losing fat. So these mistakes, I'd probably get more specific about it. Saying these mistakes, it's kind of poor man's entry. It's kind of vague. You might want to be more specific, like these 7 mistakes or these 7 dietary whatever mistakes. I'd probably, you want to make it a little more specific, because when you just say these mistakes, it's a little vague. It doesn't really do too much. The phrasing here is kind of funny. So are holding you from losing fat, holding you back or keeping you from losing fat. I would, it's really tricky here. So when you're selling to this type of a market, if you say, hey, these mistakes are keeping you fat or holding you down and keeping you fat, that's one thing. I tend to like going a little more positive with this and say, hey, these mistakes are keeping you from, instead of losing fat, I'd probably say being skinny or having like slimming down this summer or whatever, right? Like I try and make it to where I'm stating the positive instead of like losing fat, just like it sounds clinical and it's a little negative. So I try and reshape this headline to make it a little more specific and with a little bit bigger, better, more exciting promise. All right, let's read this. You are most likely overweight. Dude, are you like Russian or something?
Bulgarian.
Bulgarian. Oh, you guys are even tougher. Okay, you guys are like no nonsense, like just straight to it. No subtlety. Because man, this is actually like I thought this was hilarious because it was so straightforward. You're most likely overweight. You don't like the way you look in the mirror, and you lack self-confidence. You may be too fat. That it's hard to do certain things. I'm sorry. This is so like coming from the West where everyone's like so politically correct about this. This is awesome. I think this is hilarious because it's like the thoughts that you think, but it's just so straightforward. It's so clinical. It's like just cold. You're maybe too fat that it's hard to do certain things like walking for 10 minutes without losing your breath. So you finally made a decision, take the right path and lose that fat. Your goal is to now lose body fat. You probably start eating healthy. Like it's just so straightforward. There's no subtlety to it. There's no imagery or no like sympathy to it. That it's just the cold hard hitting facts. This might work in Bulgaria, but if you're going to sell to an English audience, this won't work, right? Because they're too soft for it. And that's the reason they're fat, is because they're too soft mentally to like control themselves around food. So they get exposed to like the cold hard truth from Emil, the Bulgarian, they will just like cry and run away, right?
Yeah.
So like I agree with you 100%, right? There was this time I was on a bus tour in the UK. I was at like whatever poet's house, Wadsworth or whatever. And the bus stopped and they're like, okay, it's a quarter of a mile up this little incline to go see his house, cool garden stuff. It was really pretty, right? It was all fun. But there was this family on the bus that had to stay there because they're all like 400 pounds. They're all like 200 kilos each, right? Just giant people. And they're like, if I go up that hill, I will have a heart attack. I can't. It's just crazy. It's like it exists. Like this is true. Like this is very, very true. But if you were to have like a fat person in the US or like the UK read this, it would just like, they'd have to get mental health afterwards. Like it would just be terrible. Right. So we want to create some level of like sympathy and like communication with them to where there's some emotion involved. And it's not just like a clinical description of their problem. Right. Because clinical doesn't inspire change for these people. So yeah, that'll be a fun thing. I can probably find some good examples of people that have written to the weight loss market in a way that's, they still red pill them and help them understand why they are fat and how to not be fat, but in a way that is smooth enough on their poor little Western ego that they actually change. So we might have to find that for you so you can kind of see an example. But this was fun. This was absolutely hilarious to read. But yeah, it's a little too clinical. We need to add some emotion. We need to sort of talk about the pain they actually feel, and just a tinge of sympathy and I'm here to help you vibes instead of just like get with the program, you fat piece of crap, right? Like we need to shift it to more of that first thing that I just described. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Like this is fun. This is part of the process. But like I said, this was super entertaining for me to read. I thought this was hilarious. Let's keep going. So you probably started eating healthy and being active throughout the day. You think you're doing everything right, but you aren't seeing any progress. However, most people make these little mistakes to prevent them from achieving their dream. It's the little things that matter. So here's the part where if you kind of understood what these little things were and why they're important, you might be able to start introducing it a little bit better. So you're like, hey, look, you started eating healthy. You decided to do this. Like, that's great. But you might be getting frustrated because even though you're working hard and training hard and not eating your favorite ice cream, or at least less of your favorite ice cream, you're still like not like losing weight. It's terribly frustrating. And then this is where you get to come in and absolve their guilt, right? Like, it's not your fault, right? Like, it's not your fault. There are these little things you don't even know about. No one tells you about, but if you don't get them right, you can't lose the weight and you'll be stuck forever, right? This is where you can kind of give them, it's kind of an illusion. You're giving them the opportunity to learn something new, but you're basically saying, hey, you're fat because you don't know something. If you know something, you can stop being fat. You're trying hard, you poor soul, you poor little thing. If you just know how to like avoid these 8 mistakes, you'll be golden, right? So that's where you kind of want to introduce it like that. So you need to correct these mistakes and gain more knowledge, which is kind of, I mean, you're kind of saying it here, but again, you gotta think about how they're going to feel about it and their emotion around it. If you can dial that in and modulate your statements to achieve the right result for them emotionally, they're going to be a little more receptive. So you can lose fat and still eat the foods you enjoy. You're wondering how you're going to achieve this. All you need to do is sign up here for a one-on-one talk with our coach. He's going to help you fix these slight mistakes and guide you step by step on how to make your fat loss journey effortless and enjoyable. If you sign up the following week, you'll get a bonus of 15% off. Decide quickly. Time is waiting for nobody. Bye. So real quick, when it comes to the CTA, you want to tease the value that they're going to get, right? So like sign up. I think you need to tease the mistakes a little more specifically, right? So like maybe there are 8 mistakes. If you give them a number and like give them a little bit of information about them, you kind of want to build curiosity to where they're like, wait, am I making these mistakes? How many of these mistakes am I making? Am I making 4 of the 8 or am I making just 8? There's things you can do in the text to kind of get those questions firing off in their brain and then say, hey, you can find out the answer with this. Is this a free coach? Is it a free one-on-one call with the coach, or is it a paid call with the coach? Do you know?
Paid.
It's paid. All right.
Yeah.
So if it's paid, if this was free and you're just doing like a free intro call and they kind of like get to know them and then it just turns into a sales call for the big program, then you could probably get away with what you're doing here. But if it's a paid I thought way it looked like, I thought it was going to be a free call and there's going to be a sales call at the other end. But if it's a paid call, you need to list out significant, it's got to be a lot more than just like understanding what mistakes you're making. They need to walk out with a plan. They need to walk out with, step-by-step this, that, and you need to start listing out some of the things they're going to get that's going to help them get what they want instead of just knowing if they're making mistakes or not. If you're going to be doing these 8 mistakes thing, you could actually reveal them all here, reveal some of the mistakes they're making, and then say that they can book the call to solve the mistakes. Like you can tell them what they need to do, and then the call is how they need to do it is how you can frame it. But if it's a paid thing, you're going to have to give a lot more than just, hey, there's some mistakes you're making, book a call, pay for the call, and you'll learn the mistakes and you'll learn if you're good, right? You need to give them a little bit more than that for them to buy. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. Emil, how long have you been doing copywriting?
10 days.
10 days. All right. My friend, I think you're probably an excellent individual, and you seem like the kind of guy I'd like to hang around and do cool things with, because you sound like a pretty serious individual. But I think you need to take some time and go through and think about and pay attention to emotions and how people are going to feel about things, and find ways to communicate emotionally and with vivid imagery, right? I think that's probably the biggest thing you should probably be working on and practicing right now. I'd go through the swipe file and find examples of people who use vivid descriptions of scenarios and emotional reactions and emotional outcomes, and try and pay attention to how they're doing that, because I think that's going to be the thing that helps you the most. Because you're logically thinking through the process perfectly. It's just, I think you need to add that extra level of deliverability to make this crank. Your logic is flawless. Do you have any other questions for me?
About the last line, decide quickly, time is waiting for nobody. What do you think about that? I mean, is it good that I add it, or?
So I'm not a terrible fan of decide quickly, time is waiting for nobody. I like giving people a reason for the urgency instead of just time is waiting for nobody. Like that's kind of a cliche statement. I would try and give them a reason. Again, if this is a full-on sales page, which this is a little short for a paid product. If this is just like a free intro thing, you can maybe get away with it. But if it's a paid product, you want to give them a reason for the urgency, right? Like you want to say, like, again, the 3-way close is a great way to do it. It's like the go-to way to do it. Hey, you can either go out and just keep doing what you're trying to do and stay frustrated with your results and eventually give up and become fat and die of a heart attack, or you can go and try and figure out these mistakes by yourself and it's going to be terrible. Or you can act now while there's still 3 slots on my coaching calendar and get the answer to your questions and start finally seeing the progress, losing weight like you've decided to, you fat piece of crap, right? Like you can lay it out and give them urgency with their path. If you just give a general statement about why they should do something now because time waits for nobody, it doesn't do as much to actually motivate them as giving them an emotional reason why. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Good question, though. Do you have any other questions for me about this?
Sorry, what?
Do you have any other questions for me about your email or your sales page?
Yeah. So in the beginning, it's like it's repeating. Is that bad or it's not?
It's not so bad that you repeat the you, like starting each sentence with you. I think a lot of that gets smoothed out if you add some emotion and some imagery to it. I think that's fine. I wouldn't really worry about it too much. That's not the big issue I'd worry about on this sales page. What other questions do you have for me?
I don't have more questions.
Okay. This is a good piece of content to read. Hey, Emil, as you're going through, if you have more questions, if you do an updated version of this, tag me in it. I'd like to take a look at it and give you some more feedback on it. Because I think you've got like the solid logical understanding of what you need to take them through the process. I think it just needs to be just a little bit extra delivery, and I think this would be a really good sales page. All right. Well, guys, we're going to break it out. It's just general Q&A now. We're going to do general Q&A. I've got plenty of hands up. We're going to try and get as many as we possibly can. It might take a moment. So let's go ahead. Real Ants, I think you still have your hand up from last time. Let's go ahead to Nathaniel. What's your question, my friend?
No, I put my hand up again.
Okay, what's your question?
My question is, it's about funnel ideas and free value. What's the best way to do it if I know nothing about the business because I haven't been on a call with them?
You mean like funnel? You're asking how to come up with free value for your businesses when you're looking at them from the outside looking in?
Yeah, because I haven't been on a phone call with them yet.
Okay. You're gonna have to take your best guess, right? So you're gonna have to look and see what you think is gonna be helpful. And the OG format was that 3 email sequence, which I don't recommend you guys do. If you guys go out and say, hey, I've got a free 3 email sequence, that's been overused at this point. You need to come up with some more creative and unique angles, but you need to think of things that you can provide for them that are going to help achieve a specific business objective, i.e. help them make more money or increase their conversion rate. It might not even be the primary thing that they want. The real reason you're doing this is to demonstrate your capacity to write effectively, right? They might use it, they might not use it. You're really just using it to show something that you're doing really well, right? So it's just gotta be something interesting enough for them to say, yes, I want to see what he put together. So emails, Facebook ads, social media stuff, email sequence ideas. There's a whole bunch of things. I'm not going to say too much because I want you guys to come up with your own stuff, but you have to basically look and see and see what you can see what you think is going to be the best thing that can help them and just test out. You'll test out several different formats as you go through the testing process with your cold email outreach, and you'll stumble upon the one that works best and you just double down on that.
Yeah, because I've been thinking of ideas, but then I thought, oh, if I do this, they might not like it and just walk away, you know?
Yeah. You'll test it out and some will work and some won't. You'll find one that does work. So just test your way to success.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. Bye-bye.
Yeah, no worries. Good question. Nathaniel, what's your question?
Hey, so I'm currently on the prospecting part of things, finding for your prospects.
All right.
So I'm really picky with what I want and I don't. And I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing. But my question was, if someone doesn't have an email list set up, should I even bother, or should I try to supply them with Facebook ads, etc.?
Probably not. So if someone doesn't have a Facebook list set up, or not, sorry, an email list set up, chances are they're not terribly serious. It depends a lot on their follower count. If they got a good follower count, maybe you can get away with it. Most of the time, though, they have an email list set up. They just don't have it like as a newsletter on their sign up for our newsletter. They just have free opt-ins that you can opt in for, and then they have an email list on the back end. So if they have something like that, then by all means go for it. But if there's like straight up no way for someone to put an email or even really purchase a product, then you probably should just avoid them. If there's a way to purchase a low-end product, then they probably have an email list and they're selling their higher ticket products to those customers, and you can still probably reach out to them. But yeah, if they don't have a way to capture leads or capture traffic on the low end, then chances are they're probably not going to be that easy for you to step in and help. But you can try it out, see.
Yeah, because one guy he like in the course like in the information he said that he had an email list for people, but you would have to pay for the course. It's not like a free opt-in for the funnel.
Oh, if it's low ticket, if he's selling something that's going to generate a lot of opt-ins, even at a low ticket price, then you can roll with it. I would.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Paul, what do you got? Paul, you got 3 seconds to unmute yourself and ask a question, or I'm moving on. All right, Emmanuel, what's your question?
Hi, Andrew. I want to ask a question about prospecting as well. So I've been trying to prospect for local businesses around me. But I wanted to ask about like places like dentists, orthodontists, them type, like them ones.
Yeah.
So say if you can't find the email on the sites for the, like, do you reckon I should just leave them alone or like look for phone number, etc.?
So I'm not a big fan of you guys going after local businesses. You can, but typically what they need and what you can provide are sometimes different things. Local businesses, a lot of it's more like word of mouth marketing and or SEO, which isn't something I really teach you guys. So it's reputation management more than anything else.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily recommend you go after those people. If you're trying to find somebody and you can't find an email address, you just probably move on, right? Or you find you DM on Instagram and keep going, right?
Okay.
Generally speaking, but I would recommend you guys try and find different industry. Like you want to sell people online who are selling high margin products at scale, because you can step in and help them make a lot of money and you can make a lot of money. If you work with a dentist, like it's not going to make you rich. If you work with a business owner that is selling a high margin product that you can't sell at scale and you become basically a business partner with a high revenue share, you can make a lot of money, right? So I recommend you guys play games where you can get rich instead of just make some money. That being said, if you have local dentist clients and you work with them, like there's nothing wrong with that. Like take the money and do a good job for them and keep moving on. But I wouldn't proactively seek that out if I was you.
Thank you. And could I ask for more questions as well, please?
Of course, yeah.
So about the Facebook ads we were talking about before, I was wondering so similar to DIC, we don't really talk about the product specifically. But in terms of Facebook ads, would we have to drop in like product details such as like, oh, it's I don't know, like how much I don't know how cold something is, how like say if you're advertising a drink, would you have to put in details about like the taste of the drink,
if you're advertising a drink, that's more e-com style and you're going to do less DIC and more you're going to more rely on other factors. I'd recommend you go and look at other Facebook ads for similar products and copy some of their style and their format for that type of product.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Twix.
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
What's your name? Yeah.
You can just call me Twix, it's fine. So
right.
my question is, I don't really understand subject lines. Like, what is a subject line? Like, I've gone through the sprints and intermediate section, but I still don't seem to understand what a subject line is.
Do you have an email account?
Yes, I do.
Have you ever sent or received an email?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes, I have.
So, like when you're in your inbox and there's that little description on the email, that's the subject line.
Okay. So, another question. When I'm prospecting, I find it really hard to find prospects with emails. So, how can I like avoid that? Is there a way to avoid it?
You're having a hard time finding prospects with emails addresses?
Yeah, they usually don't have their email, or they have like info at something or support emails.
You use the best email you can. If it's info or support, you use that. If not, you just move on, find the next person.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right, cool. Next question. Christian, what do you got? If you're talking, Christian, I can't hear you. I think you're still muted.
You hear me
There
now?
we go. Now I can hear you. What you got?
So I had a prospect and I told him in my free email, like my free value I said I was going to make for him. I told him I was going to give him a landing page. But I know that's like a type of long form copy. So I was wondering if I should like maybe do like half the landing page and then describe on the rest, like, because how there's like 3 different sections, maybe do like the first section and then like describe what I would do in the other 2 sections instead of writing it all out.
If you promised a landing page, you have to give them a landing page.
Yeah.
So I'd recommend you don't promise people a landing page in the future, but you can create a really simple, quick and easy landing page like the one for my student email list. You know that one? Like the headline, a couple fascination bullets, and a click here to subscribe now. You can do one of those pretty easily, right? That's not necessarily a long form thing. But yeah, you can do one of those.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Yeah, in the future, I probably wouldn't promise that. I'd probably say headline ideas for this landing page or something like that.
The page was like terrible.
You promise that's a lot of value for somebody. That's like
Yeah,
theoretically something that's you could charge a couple thousand for easy if you do a good job. So that's cool.
All right.
It's a big free value, man. All right, Ali, what do you got for me? What's your question? All right, Ali, you got 3 seconds. Ali Humayed, you got 3 seconds to unmute yourself and ask your question. We're moving on.
Hello.
There you go. What's your question?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
All right, my Wi-Fi is kind of bad here. I'm in the village. Okay. What's it called? I've been kind of confused. I just began the sprint of an avatar. Is the avatar the customer of the business or the business owner you're reaching out to?
Good question. So usually the business owner is what I call the guru, right? The guy who is offering the advice, the product or service. The avatar is the ideal customer. So it's like one person that you kind of create in your mind or you pull from the testimonials or whatever that you basically address all your writing to. It's the ideal customer before they buy the product. You kind of imagine that person in your mind. It's helpful though, because it helps you write a little more deeply and persuade a little bit better. Does that answer your question? I hope he didn't die in the village. You good, Ali? Yeah? Okay. Cool. Any other questions for me?
Yeah, I'm
Ali?
just high up in the mountains right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. When you get a client and they want like traffic to their business, what should like you generally do if they like want traffic only to their business?
Traffic only. Traffic is a weird thing. Yeah, can you hear me still? Can you still hear me? You there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Dude, we're gonna lose Ali. Yeah. So I'll just answer it and then Ali's gonna have to listen to this maybe later. So yeah, traffic, there's a lot of ways to get eyeballs on to their page. There's like SEO, Facebook ads, a bunch of stuff like that. I typically teach you guys how to do paid strategy stuff. So creating Facebook ads or Instagram ads, that's something that I'll cover in a later sprints though for you. You'll learn that pretty quickly. So, all right, well, let's hope Ali made it safe to where he's going. Let's go on to the next one. Dominique, what's your question for me?
All right, have a good night.
Thanks, Ali. Dominic, what's your question?
So my question is, when you are doing landing pages or sales pages, they are just longer versions of classic emails, or how to write them properly, how long they should be, or
how far are you in the sprints?
I ended intermediate sprints, but I haven't got into the sprint 16.
Yeah, sprint 16 will tell you how to do sales pages. Landing pages are a little bit different. So if you're doing like a free opt-in, it's basically DIC. You can look at my example from the email list that I provide for students. That's one example of a landing page where you're just trying to get a free opt-in. Doesn't have to be a full sales page. It's just about building curiosity around something they like and giving them a place to opt in to get it. Yeah, that's probably where I tell you to look, but you're going to learn how to do sales pages in sprint 16. So I'll let you read that and then ask me your questions.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right, Ryan, what's your question?
I've got a few questions, if that's all right. So
we'll see if they're good questions.
The first one is to kind of do with like the university as a whole. I'm going back to college next month. Will that affect my college in any way, or do I separate those two lives separately? Will that matter, or?
I'm confused. You're asking if you go to college, is it going to affect your life, or you affect your copywriting, or is your copywriting going to affect your college?
Yeah, what I mean is like, will I still be able to copyright even when I'm in college? Like, I'm going to college 3 days a week from like 9 to like 5.
Yeah, I mean, the copywriting squad team might come in and like cap you if you try and do copywriting at school. So I'd be careful. Keep your head on a swivel. Stay safe. No, of course, yeah, man. You can do whatever you want. Like it's a question of priorities, right? If you're gonna go to college, like I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that it's a waste of time or that you're not really gonna learn anything too useful or anything like that. Like that's up to you. But yeah, it like depends on what you're gonna spend your time. Like you might have friends that go out and do stupid stuff and hang out and watch TV shows, but I mean, you can still do that. But like if I was you and I really wanted to get rich and make some serious money and change my life, I would take all my available time outside of whatever previous commitments you've committed to, I guess, and just to pour that into the one thing that's going to help you change your life. So it's up to you, man.
The next one was like, see, I'm only on intermediate at the moment. I've not got the experience yet, but I'm doing the writing down like my prospects. I'm doing the spreadsheet. Do I need to do day 1, 2, 3, and 4 before I start my email list, like the cold emails, or?
So those sprints, the intermediate sprints, they're a little different than the beginner sprints. The beginner sprints, I teach you things and you practice, and the sprints aren't terribly connected. The intermediate sprints, the first ones until the very last one, which is about how to write sales pages, the ones that are about outreach, they stack on top of each other. You complete one, and then you take the thing that you then created and you use that to do the next part, and you do the next part, the next part, the next part. So follow the sprints, and once you've completed the practice for that sprint, you're ready to move to the next one, and it'll tell you what to do with that stuff you just gathered in the previous sprint. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And the question I was trying to ask earlier about the free gift thing, how does like what is our limit for free? Like what are we allowed to like offer before we're gonna be losing money and they're gonna be gaining money type thing? Like
I wouldn't really stress out about that. A lot of people worry about giving away free stuff and like, wait, how do I know if they're not going to use it and like not pay me? Like that's the whole point. You're going to be giving them a free gift that they can theoretically use and go make thousands and thousands of dollars from. So be very careful with how much time you spend in it. So I wouldn't invest days and days of your time doing free value. But know that they probably will try and use it, and they probably will make money with it without paying you anything. That's the whole point of the free gift.
Yeah. But they'll come back, hopefully.
Theoretically, if they like your stuff, they'll be like, hey, I like this guy. I want to use the stuff and make some money with them. That's the whole point.
And you said sorry, I'm not asking so many questions. But you said that for pricing type of thing, obviously we need $300 minimum to get into experience. But when I do get my first sales call, what's a good price? I know you said between 500 and between 300 up to like 1,500, and you kind of theorize like if we were gonna make 15,000 for them, 1,500 is a good number to kind of take off of it. But what is the like limit of like what obviously 300 is what we're looking for, but what's too much to ask for your first ever client? Like, is there a limit or?
No, there's not a limit. That being said, you have to realize that the whole point of the discovery project is to decrease the scope and the amount of money that you charge, so it's really easy for them to say yes. So like we know in like the emails we were breaking down, I was like, hey, this first line of the email, it's got to be just short enough that it's easy for the person to say yes to. It's a no-brainer, and then it encourages them to invest further up. Like you could theoretically ask for $10,000 if you're providing $100,000 of value, but that might be a big jump for them. So there's no real limit. Like you're always providing significantly more value than what you're asking, but you want to make it, you want to modulate it and change it to where it becomes a no-brainer yes for them. So then you can build the trust and rapport so you can charge more and more moving forward. So it's super contextual. It depends on the discovery project. So be intelligent about it.
Yeah, that's fine. That's all. Thank you.
All right. Good luck, my friend. All right, Jesse, what's your other question?
Yeah, so this is about market research, and like you said earlier, I tend to overthink things. So like, okay, so obviously I'm doing BizOp. I'm not targeting like drop shippers. I'm targeting people like HU2 students, but my target demographic is 25 to 40. It's like,
I don't know if I should advise you if you're working for the enemy. So I'm just kidding. Keep going.
No, but like these
Jesse got nervous for a second there. He's like, he's not gonna help me. Keep going, Jesse. What's your question? Let's hear it.
No, no, I wasn't thinking that. But okay, so obviously like I'm doing BizOps, so it doesn't really matter about the product. It's more about like as Chief put it very perfectly, it's like a guiding force of hope. We're just selling hope to these people. So like, how do you research that? Because I can't research something that's not tangible. I can't research a product because it's not about the product.
Of course you can. You can research the intangible all day long. People do it all the time.
Well, how?
Oh, it's shame. Come on, Jesse. Look. So it's really easy. This is an easy question. I think you're overcomplicating it. What I would do if I was in your shoes and I was sitting here working with a BizOp client, I want to make a bunch of money for a BizOp client. I'd go look at swipe files. I'd look at the HU2 swipe file. I'd go to swipe.co. I would look at all of the best BizOp swipe or sales things that have ever been done. And I would use those as an inspiration about how they sell that hope. Wait just a second. I'm going to drop one that's going to change all you guys' life. This is a good one. Just hang out there for a second while I pull it up. This one's not the swipe file. This one's a good one. This is
real quick.
This is a webinar. This is a great webinar.
I know the premise of BizOp because it's more like people stuck in a job that they hate, so they want to get out of it as soon as possible. Your product is the solution. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. Like, I get what it's about, and I have a ton of ammo, but I just don't know where else to look, I guess.
Well, if you got all the ammo you need, why are you looking? Why do you need to look anymore?
Because I feel like I don't have enough.
Then you need to look at a better place, man. So what is it? Do you need to get more ammunition? Do you need to learn how to do it, or do you already have enough? You don't have enough, right?
Okay, like I got tons of like stuff from forums, and I've seen people like overshare their pain. But I don't know like if it's enough to say like if I could use it against them. You know what I'm saying? Like I think I feel like there's tons of missing content I need.
Okay. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna drop probably I'm gonna share with you one of probably the best BizOp sales pieces I've seen that I go to, and I've broken this one down a couple of times for myself. I'm gonna drop that. I want you to go take a look and see how they do it, and then you can like, oh, what the heck is going on? It's glitching like crazy. And then if that doesn't have enough, we can talk about in the experience chat. Does that sound good?
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Okay, so let me just. I'm gonna drop it. I'm gonna drop it in the chat. This is gonna be like for the people who like watch the call and are actually here, because this is some secret stuff. This is like experience chat stuff. All right. So let me drop that real quick. Boom. There you go. Go watch that one. That's a good one.
All right. All right. Man, well, that answered my question. I appreciate you.
Sounds good. Good luck, Jesse.
Thanks.
All right. Simao, Pedro, what's your question?
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
You can just call me Simon if that's easier for you.
Sure,
Basically,
that works.
I have a couple of questions. One of them is about the avatar. I think from the last piece you reviewed, you said that it would be better for the writer to separate men and women from this particular subject. But I didn't quite understand why, because if you do that, you'll be basically limiting the amount of outreach you have by half.
Of course. Yeah.
Usually.
Of course. 100%.
I get that the writing will be better, like for certain groups of people, but is the trade-off worth it?
100%. It's almost always worth it. Yeah.
So just specify to the max.
Pretty much. Yeah. With your avatar, yes. You have to realize that you get really specific with your avatar, and you'll speak specifically to that avatar, but people that are 1, 2, 3, 10 degrees of separation different from that avatar, they'll still respond very, very well to that same advertisement, right? If you try and talk to men and women the same way about weight loss, you're not going to get a very significant response from either party. It'll be a lot less, right? You talk to men differently than you talk to women about weight loss. You have to. They're different people. They view it differently. It's a different problem. It's a completely different thing for men and for women, right? If you separate it out, you can actually speak to that just for men and women, and that'll see your first bump. Now, weight loss is different for men who are in their 20s versus men who are in their 60s, right? If you're going to be going after a specific market range, you want to get as specific as you can within that market range, right? But if you like pretend that, hey, I'm selling something that everyone in the world wants, it gets very difficult for you to persuade everybody on a deep level. You can persuade really, really specific to a single person or a single type of person. And in this game, and right now, the marketing world, it's about who can persuade the most deeply and the most relevantly to that person. So you gain advantage by being specific.
Okay, even if that means making more than one
Losing
piece,
half of the
like
people.
for each.
Oh no. Now I went from 7 billion people that I could sell this to 3 billion people. Oh no. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
Oh no, 3 billion. You can get way more specific. If you're selling to a group of like 3 million people on Facebook, like your Facebook audience or whatever, you're probably right the sweet spot for like when you're first starting out. You get like for most businesses, unless they're making $100 million a year, they really don't need to branch out and serve multiple avatars.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I have another question if that's okay.
All right, we'll see. What's your next question?
It's a bit more general. I'm still in the beginning of the sprints. It's possible you mentioned this, after, but in the Victor, I think it was a submission. They had some Facebook ads and Instagram ads, and there was a picture. And my question is about the format, because one of the questions after said that the client had another guy taking care of the visuals, of the graphics. Is that something that we are expected to do? We never do? Is it something that's agreed with the company, with the client?
You don't have to do it, but you can do it.
Okay.
So again, one of the cool things about this is that it's not like I'm giving you guys a specified job title with specified duties and you do these things and only these things and that's all you do. And you show up at 9, you clock out at 5 and you get a 401k. This is like the world's your oyster. You can negotiate whatever you want to negotiate. If you work with a client, and especially if you're going to be creating free Facebook ads as a free value, yeah, you'll probably create an image. You go on canva.com, slap something together. Like you can do that. It might become you might eventually specialize and get really, really good at that. But there's no like thou shalt or shalt nots around. Do you create the ad? Did they create the ad? Do they do the image? Did they upload it to Facebook? Do you upload it to Facebook? Who does that? It's all what you negotiate with your client.
Oh, okay, I got it, man. Thank you so much.
All right. Good question. Let's do 3 more. I'm going to do Iklas, Shane, and then Rizvan, and then we're going to call it good for the day. And then everyone else can just tag me in the chats. So Iklas, what's your question?
Yeah, my question is about, so when I'm writing like emails and things like that, and when it gets like teasing the mechanism, like sometimes like I can tease the mechanism very well, like depending on like the sales page, like what information I find, because some of these sales pages, they don't have that specificity like about their product. Like they'll make the big claims, but they won't follow up with that specificity or anything like that. So is that something like I come to like, I make a conclusion, like I make my best guess, or like, how would you find that out if you didn't have much information about like the specificity on like the sales page for the product? Or
you mean for like when you're sitting writing that free value for them?
Yeah. Free value,
Yeah, I mean, you can guess and you can make a note of it in that free value when you send it over and be like, hey, I wasn't sure. I kind of made some stuff up here, take some license. Obviously we'd change this to max it and make it actually reflect the true facts. You can do that. If you don't have anything really specific to work with, you might have some issues with coming up with good stuff. You might have to just go more general and do a PAS style email where you're just speaking to the market the way everyone talks to the market, or the best way is to talk to that particular avatar. Yeah, you have to be able to adapt there. You can make stuff up though, as long as when you send it over to your client, you make a note and say, hey, I realize I made this up. You'll have to change this to make it match reality, right? That'll be cool with that.
Right. Yeah, that's genius, man. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. All right, Shane, what's your question?
Hello. Yeah, how would I go about doing this for a music producer who does instrumental beats?
Oh, that's a tricky question. It's a slightly different market. So he's selling his instrumental beats to other musicians. Is that correct? Is that typically how it works? That industry?
It's basically for I sell beats, so I'm just wondering how am I going to use the skill to make me sell more beats, because obviously I understand you get like broke rappers and stuff.
Yeah,
But I've just been, since I've been on this course, I've just been trying to answer this myself. I've been putting stuff in
for your
the
own business.
comments. Yeah,
Yeah.
basically, but no one can help me, so I don't understand.
Yeah, no, we can talk through this. So, real quick, break down the economics for me. How much money do you make per, I don't know, item that you sell? So you sell like a beat track. Like how much does that make you? Yeah.
So basically, I have 3 levels. I've got MP3 for about 20. I've got WAV for like 40, and then like premium is like WAV premium, MP3, you get all of it, and like a few streaming rights for like 69, and then you can make me an offer. So like if a record label comes in and they say, oh, we like this beat, want to for this rapper, make me an offer. It could be like 10 grand, 20 grand. So
Yeah, I was about to say you
like,
need some higher ticket items here.
I mean, I can price them higher. It's just that I'd rather some people higher
Yeah.
than
So
them,
it's not just so much about like taking the current stuff and pricing it higher. You might need to create a whole new product category so you can make some more money. So who's your target market? Is it like studios or is it enthusiasts?
Up and coming rappers.
Up and coming rappers. Okay.
Yeah.
So if it's up and coming rappers, you can sell them the beats. Have you thought about selling them coaching services or a course?
Nah, because I find they're a bit too ignorant, and they'll know I already know what to do. I'm a rapper, you know. I'm from the streets or something like that.
So the main issue I see is that you're going to be selling low ticket products, and no matter how high you scale, you're not going to make a lot of money with this. I'd recommend you go read Alex Hormozy's book, $100 Million Offers.
I've got it.
You've got it.
I've read it.
You've read it.
Yeah.
I would put together a high ticket offer on the back end of this stuff. 100%.
Yeah.
Because like just look at the math of it, right? Like the most you're selling somebody a 60-pound thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming it's pounds from your accent, or $60, $120.
It's BeatStar, so I use dollars.
Okay, so $60, right? You'd have to sell, 1,000 of those a month to even start feeling like you're making any kind of money, right?
The thing
you know
is,
what I'm saying? Like at that scale, how many have you sold in a month? Like, what's the most you sold in a month, anyways?
Probably about 4, and this was probably about half a year ago. I've just been off it, but I've got like 250 songs on there, and I can sell them all unlimited as many times as I want, basically. So it's. Yeah.
I'm just saying, if I was you, I would try, because you either have to have insane scale, right? Right. You have to have just an insane scale, or you need to move move your average lifetime value of a customer significantly higher. You need to be charging $1,000 for a 3-week coaching program where you take someone from doing a pretty good job to doing a great job, right? Like you need to find a way to sell something for significantly higher, because right now the math just is never going to work for you unless you achieve like millions and millions of customers, right? So I'd recommend you really sit down and revisit that $100 million offers book through the lens of, how do I take my current avatar who's in pain, who has money, who has a problem I can solve and is growing, and take them upstream to a high ticket offer where you can make high scale, so you can sell 4 or 5 of those a month, and you start making some real money. That's what I recommend you do for growing this, right? Because just looking, like, the first thing to look at in a business is the math. What's the lifetime value? What's the scale, right? You need to figure out which of those levers you need to grow. And usually it's actually really interesting. You actually have to be able to earn a lot of money from your people, like per customer first, before you can hit high scale, because that's where you get the revenue to then turn around and reinvest it and increase your scale. So that's what I'd recommend you do. I'd recommend you revisit that, rethink through that, and try and take that approach to where you can get your guys up the ladder, up your own value ladder much, much faster.
Okay. And just one more thing before I go. I'm going to start prospecting clients this weekend. So from what I understand, the process will be find clients, send customized template, send over free value, send preliminary sales call, set one up, ask spin questions to figure out the business, figure out the best strategy for their business, talk about a discovery project, or for the clients that they already have. Explain that you can reach an untapped resource of clients, and then check results once project has been successful, and then upscale to a landing page or more short form copy. Am I on the
Yeah,
wave
yeah,
there?
that's roughly it. Yeah, that's pretty much the path. Yeah.
All right, cool. No worries. Thanks for that, man. Appreciate it.
Cool. Solid. Cool. Yeah, no worries. Good questions. All right,
Thank you.
Rizvan, let's answer your question real quick.
Yo, okay, could you hear me?
I can, yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, I had a few questions about prospecting, and one of them was that if I start getting an 80% reply rate, right? All of a sudden, a 24-hour window to give free value to these like prospects sounds kind of out of reach. And it's like, okay,
It
fine.
is.
Well, what's the next best bet?
So when that happens, and that's fun because I know about that problem. That's a problem I've had before. It's great. It's a great
Yeah.
problem to have, right?
Yeah.
Everyone on the call, like half the people on the call right now are like up in arms, like they're so terrible at you because they're mad at you because you've got that call or got that problem. But that's a great problem to have. So when that happens and you get a bunch of replies, you prioritize. You look at the clients you think would be the best to work with. You work with those, you go down the list, and then you start dropping how many people you reach out to in a day. You don't reach out to 40 anymore. You start reaching out to 10 or 5 if you got an 80% open rate, right?
Okay, then.
It's not a problem. You just drop the scale. But then that first day when you get the giant flood and you can't really handle it, you just prioritize. Pick the ones that you like best. Work your way down the list. And it might take you a day or two to get them all done. And then just drop them out. You reach out to after that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a fun problem.
I wanted to mention another thing. So only recently have I got a subject line that's now finally working, right? But I wrote like 40 subject lines before my first batch of 40 prospects, right? And then I got feedback from the apprentices and they said that it was too salesy. And then I rewatched your intermediate video, and then your advice was to like title us like an email like as if you're emailing another friend. And I don't mean to pull the youth card up on you, but like I've never emailed my friends, like ever. And
yeah,
so it was
and I don't really
difficult.
mean like email your friend as in like, hey, do this, whatever. I meant more like a coworker or more like a peer rather than a friend. Like, hey, check out this, dear so and so. I'm so happy to email you after not having. Yeah, not that. Yeah, no, it's fun. No, just keep it simple, right? Like the classic example that I always give, which has been overused. I don't recommend you use this. Is quick question, right? It's not like it's not marketing. It's not sales. It's just one person that has something to say to another, right? There's a lot of things along that same variety that you have. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to say it. Again, I don't like saying out different subject lines that work because it kind of on a call like this, and then with the 5,000 views we'll have the next 24 hours, it can kind of ruin a subject line for you. So but take that sort of general feeling and just expand it. I'm sure you'll find some good stuff.
Yeah, okay. Another question was that like when you're writing up the 3 email sequence, right? And they finally say, all right, fine, give me what you got. When writing that stuff out, do you want to have like each email sort of link into the other? And I'm thinking of like what the customers are going to see when they get those 3 emails linked into their inbox. I'm thinking, do I have the email sequence have it so like I like pitch them on like a coaching call, then the second email I pitch them on the landing page, and then on the third call I pitch them on, I don't know, the front home page? Or should I just have it like different emails?
Yeah, you can connect them together. A lot of people do it to where it's all driving towards the sales or product page. You can maybe throw one in the middle that drives to like one of their free pieces of content or something like that to get a feel for that type of email.
Okay.
But it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be like crazy connected. Like it can just be 3 different types of emails all selling the same product. I would never send something straight to the homepage. That's probably a waste of a conversion or a click event. But yeah, you can, there's no real terrible rules. And again, like I said, don't do a 3 email sequence. Don't call it a 3 email sequence because so many people have or will do 3 email sequences. You want to come up with, you want to test out. That's one of the things you test is different types of or names for the free value that you're offering.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You also mentioned that like a DIC email should be roughly 150 words long, but is there a minimum standard as well as a maximum?
No, there's not. As long as you hit all the elements, you can do it. Some of
So
my
it could
best
literally be like
emails,
3 words.
three words, 3 lines. It doesn't matter, man. As long as it works. Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. Cool. Yeah, I'm done.
All right. Good questions. All right.